Check, check, check. Hello. How we doing, boys? Hello. Check, 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 check. We good? Damn. And that's why always trying to keep us down. The fucking Jamaicans. I don't know if that's racist code, but I'm just gonna leave that there. You guys can have that one and figure that out for yourselves. See, that's why we do that. That's why we do that, because this is Big Red in the Morning, and it's not a professional show. So we gotta check. You guys are my producers. How's that make you feel? You all have producer credits. You all have producer credits. I don't know how the fuck that happened. That was weird. I've been using the StreamYards, or I'm sorry, Restream. Shout out Restream, actually. I would like to give props to Lamise. He was talking about Restream. I used to use StreamYard, but then they started charging $50 a month, and I wasn't really like streaming like that anymore because like COVID was over, or I wasn't really like doing interviews online like that because I moved down here. The main reason I had StreamYards was to do the podcast with Pat. I was doing the podcast with Pat, and then I moved down here and COVID was over, and I wasn't really doing it anymore. And then I kept seeing it was like $50 a month, and I not that I like didn't have the money. It's just I don't know. There was something about it. I was like, you're not worth that. I don't know. I have like I try to have. I'm not saying all the time. I definitely have my moments where I go like, oh, you spent way too much money there. Um, but I do have my moments where I try to have more of a backbone than normal. And like there's something about $50 a month. But honestly, all the shit it does, it's worth $50. But I had gotten used to I was like, you know how it is? Like when they raise the price of video games, you're like, no, dude, video games are $60. It just is what it is. I know that's not fair and it doesn't even make sense with inflation and none of it makes any sense. None of it makes any sense. But there's just certain things where you're like, video games are $60. So like when they bumped it up to 70, you were like, ugh. And now when you see like Mario Kart's gonna be $80, you're like, what the fuck is the world? And I felt the same way with these websites. These websites, I go, the base version of it is $20. And then like and it was, dude. That was the thing too. StreamYard for the longest time, the base version was like $20 to $23, somewhere around there. And then magically they were like, and it's $50 a month. I go, that's nuts. I didn't like it, so I stopped using it. And then Restream is I don't know how much Restream is. I think it's like 30. I don't know. It's I put it on the panties card. Hell yeah. So yeah, well that was good that we started there. We double checked all the sounds. Oh man. Fuck that, yeah. Fuck this white hair right here. You know what's funny? I have the cameras reversed. I'm actually pretty good at pointing to the right part of my face, but now that the cameras are actually reversed, I was fucking that up. All right, let's get Ken in here. Enough mustache talk. Let's get Ken's cute ass in here. Ken Silva, part of the is he with the Libertarian Institute? I know he works for Headline USA, and I know he does a lot of work. Well, we'll double check with him when he pops in here, but he works for this website called Headline USA. They write a bunch of lovely stuff. Um, excuse me. Yeah, and then I know he works with Scott Horton a bunch, and I don't know if he's directly employed by the Libertarian Institute, but he does stuff over there. And yeah, I'm actually gonna have him back in like 2 weeks because he's writing a book about the Trump assassination. And I don't know, it made me feel cool because I'm listening to Scott Horton on Tucker Carlson, and he's like, "Oh, my friend Ken Silva is doing a book about the Trump assassination." And I was like, "Oh, I know Ken Silva. Like internet, no. Not like real world, no. But I like internet know Ken Silva. I'm gonna hit him up and ask him if I can talk about that book that was just mentioned on Tucker Carlson." And then Ken's like, "Yeah." So we got that scheduled for 2 weeks because I wanted to give myself a little bit more time to bone up on the extracurriculars of the Trump assassination attempt. And then yeah, fuck. What was I gonna say about that? Yeah, yeah, it's just cool. It's just and then all this Epstein stuff happened, and I saw Ken tweeting about Epstein. And I was like, oh yeah, Ken also knows a fuck ton about Epstein. Let me hit up Ken about this. So Ken's a really cool dude, and he wants to come on and talk about all this stuff. And he gets deep into the weeds. Ken will regularly post stuff where you're like, I've never heard that. So he gets deep into the weeds on a lot of this shit. So it's about that time. Let's send Ken the link. Okay. Brother, I'll be whenever you're ready. Just a heads up. I don't know if I told him. I don't know if I told him. I don't know if I told him we're live streaming this ahead of time. Am I a bad boy? I'm a bad guy. Let's keep you guys in here so I feel like I have company. My cat's sleeping behind me. I don't know if he's gonna. I don't know if he's gonna stay asleep the whole fucking time. Actually, yeah. Let me. I'm gonna kick my cat out because he's gonna wake up in the middle of the interview and want to get the fuck out of here. Hey, buddy, we're doing an interview. I gotta kick you out. Say bye. Slav's been absent for a minute. You know what's funny? I saw Slav at the creek the other night. He was cracking me up. Well, because Slav cracks me up because he talks a big game, and then he's like a very like that's what irritates me the most about dudes like him. It's like, brother, you're a very nice guy. Like when I was talking to him at the creek, he was like a fucking sweetheart. And then he was like saying like what the fuck was he saying? Because I forget what the last thing I like snoozed him on the stream and shit. I forget what the fuck it was, but he was like commenting on that, and he made me laugh because he was like, oh yeah, because I was saying, I remember what it was, because I was saying that, you're bragging. I was like, you're bragging about going into Danny Palashuk's, or sorry, I fuck Danny's last name up all the time. I try my hardest, but I can never. I always fuck it up. Unless I was right, and then I meant to do that. But he was saying he's like, I was like, "You're bragging about going into Danny's stream and like fucking it up and getting it banned." And he's like, "No, I'm not bragging about that. I'm just saying," he's like, "I go into the streams, I spit facts, and then people get mad at me." I'm like, "Dude, come on." But he was really nice and shit, and we were like fucking around. Yo, I'm gonna crush a quick piss before Ken gets in here. Talk amongst yourselves. Ugh. All right. Looks like Ken is in the waiting room. How do I pull people up on this? Oh, yeah, here we go. All right. Ken Silva, how you doing, brother? Welcome to the stream.
Hey, not too bad. Let me just make sure I'm not get the blinding sunlight behind me.
You're good, brother. How you doing today?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Not too bad, not too bad. I was just letting the people know what you do, what you've done, all that stuff. You work for Headline USA. I forget, do you work for the Libertarian Institute or like with them occasionally?
Yeah, I consider myself a contributor. So I occasional freelance articles, and obviously I'm doing this big book project, but I'm not like a full-time employee or anything like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I was telling them about that, and you're gonna come on in about 2 weeks or so to talk about that with the Trump assassination attempt, which
Yeah.
I'm very excited about because I was telling them I love every time I'm like scrolling through Twitter and I see your tweets pop up, and it's always just like you're talking about a lot of the stuff everyone's talking about, but you always have sort of this thing that I go like, well, I don't see anyone saying that. The hell's that over there? Stuff like that. So that's why I wanted to get you on to talk about the Epstein situation. I don't even know exactly what to say. Just basically, it feels like basically more of the same, but they're more blatant and worse at lying. What out of all the stuff you've sort of seen in the past 2 days that it's been since they, said there's no client list and it was definitely a suicide. What was like the thing that popped out to you that was like the most blatant of lies? I guess, probably the the didn't commit suicide, but I guess in like the nitty gritty, what was the thing that popped out the most that was just like, oh, that I know for a fact that that's just bullshit?
Yeah, sure. So I guess I should start off by qualifying that I'm not an expert in the Jeffrey Epstein case. I never presented myself as one, unlike the Trump shooting, which I would consider myself kind of like the leading reporter. But when you asked me to come on the show yesterday, I started thinking, well, like, damn, I've been paying attention to the Epstein case for like 8 years now. I've been writing about it for like 5 or 6 years now. I followed all the lawsuits, read all the reports. So even though I wouldn't consider myself an expert, just diligently following all the lawsuits, I guess, puts me above most of other reporters, especially in the Con Inc. sphere. So, yeah, to get that out of the way, to answer your question, the most egregious lie that's told to us is about this video footage where they say, we've got footage of Epstein's cell that's going to demonstrate that nobody went in or out that whole night and that he was alone. But I've been sharing that diagram from an inspector general's report that shows all the cameras in the entire wing of Jeff Epstein's floor, and all the cameras that showed the spots that mattered weren't recording. The only camera that they released is like shows a tiny sliver of a stairwell leading up to Epstein's cell. Obviously, anybody sneaky could have, used the part of the stairwell that wasn't on the camera. And moreover, Epstein's wing, which is just like one hallway of maybe a dozen cells, there were like 3 or 4 other inmates in that wing where the guards never went there the whole night. So if they left all the doors unlocked, those other inmates could have attacked Epstein or something like that could have happened, and we'll never know about it because the camera in that hallway wasn't recording.
Yeah, and wasn't it a situation too where they were? Oh yeah, yeah. You said that the cameras weren't recording, but then magically we have like 10 hours of this one camera, and it. Do you think? Like, so I was talking about this yesterday on stream. Do you think the fact that they released that one camera with like you see 2 doors right in the front, do
Yeah,
you think that was like an intentional thing for people who aren't really paying attention? Or like
totally.
or into it, yeah.
Totally. I think it's a numbers game where they realize that people paying attention are going to know they're full of shit. But, we live in a democracy and there's millions and millions of voters who literally don't even know how to read, let alone, pay attention to this stuff. So, yeah, it might seem so obvious. Like, how could they be doing this right in front of our faces? But we're in the minority of the minority. We're like in the less than 1% of the electorate. Well, I don't vote, but less of the 1% of the population that actually can decipher this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all very interesting because yeah, when like cuz I feel like I know a decent amount, but I don't even know probably half that the people who would like say they know some stuff, but I even like I was watching that just like, well, wait, I remember they said the cameras weren't working. So this can't be. I'm like literally thinking about it in real time. I was like, this can't be his cell. And then as I'm thinking that, I see an officer walk out the door and I go, okay, so that's a hallway. And
Yes.
then I was like, do they have his cell right next to the hallway? And I was like, oh no, that can't be it. And then you watch it and you realize like, oh, it's actually, there's a grainy. Oh, that was another thing I was talking about. Can you believe how bad it like the more I'm not trying to be schizophrenic, but it's like the more you just say it out loud, the more you're like, I mean, that has to be intentional. They can't be that stupid, but like how bad the camera footage is.
Yeah, exactly. So you said a couple things there. I guess I'll start with that door. It looks like, you get the impression that that's a camera on the cell door. And, what I'm working off of is a 2023 Inspector General's report, which determined that, yes, Epstein killed itself. But that's where all the good information about what cameras were working, what cameras weren't. Anybody could go to my Twitter, and I got a bunch of tweets sharing screenshots from that report. And that room right at the front of the camera where the or the guard walks in, that room actually isn't labeled in the floor plans. I assume it's just some kind of like boiler room or something like that. And sorry, what were your other parts of that? Oh, the old outdated camera system. So the funny thing with that is in the Inspector General's report goes into that. It's an old analog system. I'm assuming like VCR technology. And they hired a company in like a year before Epstein's death to update it and fix it. But the report goes into how the prison is so short staffed that they don't have any money for technicians. They keep having to use all their budget to pay guards. And so even though they contracted a company to fix it, they didn't have any faculty to, work on the thing. Eventually a tech starts working on it in early August, like 3 days before Epstein kills himself. This tech guy is working on the cameras and he's telling the inspector general that like, oh, I didn't have a key to get in this door, so I couldn't fix these wires, and just all these crazy coincidences. Like the day before Epstein was found dead, he was about to fix it, but like he wasn't authorized to work overtime or something like that. So he goes home with the project unfinished, and the very next day Epstein is found dead. And yeah, that's one hell of a coincidence.
Yeah, it's all I was like reading I was like reading through that stuff, and it all seems like on the surface, a lot of it, when you just hear it, like sort of the quick version on the surface, a lot of it seems like, yeah, maybe. But then once you do the minimal amount of reading, you're like, well, this is actually insane. And then mix that with the fact where it's like, okay, so he's in high security prison, but then also, you know, there's no client list, and then also he did kill himself, but like, so you're like, wait, so there's no one, there's like nothing to worry about because there's no client list, but also he's gonna fucking off himself at the same time.
Yeah, right. There was no evidence against that he was operating a sex trafficking operation, but yet he killed himself. I guess to steelman the DOJ's position, they've said implausibly, like this is total bullshit for anybody who knows about the Epstein story, but they're saying that Epstein and Maxwell, yes, they were sex trafficking, but they were sex trafficking these hundreds and hundreds of victims back and forth to each other. So it was just a two-man operation, and they weren't making any money. I guess they were just victimizing girls as part of this diabolical scheme that was limited to two people who just happened
Yeah.
to be connected to all these power brokers.
Yeah, no, that's what I learned to do is just like actually read the source material. And I was reading I guess it was the statement by the DOJ that was in the Axios article where they like admitted in the article where it's like Jeffrey Epstein abused over 1,000 people. And then they're like, but it was just him. And
Yeah.
you're like, dude, if I interacted in my life with 1,000 people, I would have like there'd be a lot of extra things going on around that. You're telling me he sexually abused over 1,000 people, and there's like no one else that knows what happened? Like,
Yeah, or even like let's say we take the DOJ's word at face value, and okay, this was all just Epstein luring little girls and teenage girls to his mansion in Palm Beach where he'd have them give massages. I think anybody that watched that Netflix documentary, that's like the kind of the version that they present, that this was just like a perverted billionaire and he got away with it so long because he was a billionaire.
yeah.
But yeah, it just doesn't meet the smell test because the DOJ in that memo says that we don't have any evidence to charge any third parties. And we know that Epstein didn't just work with Maxwell. He had other like women in their 20s who might have been victimized at one point, but then they start working with Epstein to draw in other girls. So at the very least, like what the hell's going on with those other women that work with Maxwell and Epstein? Why aren't they being charged?
Yeah, it's all very odd. It's all like a thing where you're like, even like best case scenario, it's logistically it's just like best case scenario, it's statistically impossible what you're saying is right. Yeah, I had a oh, by the way, yeah, in the chat, if you guys do have questions, hit them in there, throw them in the chat, and I'll try to get them to Ken the best time. But oh yeah, Derek here is a good question because about, they dropped the 11-hour video. And this was an interesting thing too, with like a lot of the stuff they were dropping the past 2 days. Like so much of it went contrary to like how the videos were working and stuff. And Derek's asking about the 11-hour video. So did you see anything saying that that they like searched through that video and saw if they cut out any moment at any point?
Yeah, there's a missing minute that starts right at 11:59 p.m. and then the video restarts at 12 a.m. And that's actually my latest tweet, like literally 30 seconds before I jumped on with you, is that Pam Bondi at today's cabinet meeting said that that's because the system was antiquated, and it's probably, and I actually believe her, this is probably the case that like the system switches videotapes right at midnight. So while it's switching, that minute gets blacked out because it was exactly a minute. And again, this is a red herring though, because that camera doesn't show anything. So again, this is another distraction in my opinion. People talking about this missing minute. That's a lot of the Epstein skeptics and the right wing is focused on this now. And that shouldn't be the focus. It should be on the fact that the video is pointless and that the real camera that mattered wasn't working.
Yeah. It is funny too, because yeah, it is funny too, because what the last time they saw him was at like 10:40 p.m., right?
That's when he was put in his
Put in the
cell. Yes.
cell, and then they didn't see him the next morning till 6:30. Oh, which that was another thing. Weren't they supposed to do in every half-hour checks or something?
Yeah, they were supposed to do half-hour checks, and they actually put in the prison logs that they did do those checks, and that was forgery. And I think that's what the guards were charged with, like misdemeanor falsifying prison logs. And then the charges were later dropped, and they got a sweetheart deal. But yeah, that did happen.
Yeah. And then so last time they talked to him is 10:40. They come back to his cell at 6:30 a.m. The fact that there's a skip in the tape at midnight, like, it's so funny because I'm 35. That was the whole fear when I was a kid of like 2000 is like all the computers are gonna hit
Yeah.
zero and explode, and you're like, yeah, man, that's also a fucking thing. But that is that is the name of the game, though, is try to focus on whatever like the little thing is, and sort of miss the bigger picture of all that and whatnot. But yeah, I was looking through some stuff about the actual suicide, and that was what I don't know where to exactly go with that, but that was another one that was like pretty obvious. It was like how the neck broke and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just posted, I tagged you as like he was found in a sitting position with his butt just like an inch off the ground. And so, like, who has the discipline to kill themselves like that, where you're not hanging off the floor, or once you jump, you can't change your mind and put your feet anywhere. Supposedly, he had a rope on the top of the bunk bed and sat down to where just his butt was off the floor. But at any moment, he could have like stood up. So I don't think that somebody could kill themselves like that, because if you try to hold your breath, eventually you'll involuntarily just start to breathe again. And I think that would have been the case. Like he just panics and stands up. It doesn't pass the smell test as far as that. And then, yes, as you mentioned, the brother, so the New York medical examiner conducted an autopsy and ruled it a suicide, but the brother hired his own private person who did an independent exam and found those 3 broken bones in the front. I don't know what the anatomy is called, but it indicates that he was actually attacked. And I guess people who just hang themselves usually don't have broken bones like that.
Yeah, that's what I was watching yesterday. They were saying that like the way that those 3 broken bones, they're like it's like next to impossible to do that with just hanging yourself. It has to be from like strangulation or some other blunt force.
And let's not forget that so he's imprisoned in July 2019, and in that first few weeks he supposedly tries to kill himself once. And this is when he had a cellmate, that Nicholas Tartaglione, I think, this giant cop that was known to, he was like dealing steroids, like super massive guy. And the cop said that he's sleeping in the bottom bunk, and all of a sudden he feels a leg hit him, and it's like Epstein trying to kill himself. So he calls the guards. The guards come, they put Epstein on suicide watch. And when Epstein first spoke to the guards, he said, "My cellmate tried to kill me." And then he later backed away from those claims, according to the report. But yeah, that to me, that's very fishy, where he's like, well, somebody tried to kill me. They take him off suicide watch in the days before August 10th, when he was found dead. And so a lot of people think like, well, was the steroid cop, did he finish the job? According to the Inspector General's report, that inmate, his cellmate, was actually moved to another prison on the day that Epstein died. So I don't think it was him. But there were other inmates in that hallway. So we don't know the identity of the other inmates that were close to his cell.
Do they know how many were in the hallway?
Yes, there were two inmates housed in one cell across from him, and then one other inmate like down the hallway, kind of isolated. And I just think, like, when I read that, I'm picturing like the two inmates are like undercover agents sent to kill Epstein, and that one inmate at the end of the hall is like probably hearing all this crazy shit going on. That's just my imagination running away with me, but I think it's plausible.
It's funny. Yeah, it's funny you bring that up because it makes it remind because I was watching a bunch of like mainstream, not mainstream anymore, but corporate press or whatever you want to call them, like the CNNs and the MSNBCs. I was watching those just to like bone up on the info and see the different perspectives, yada yada yada. And you're saying like the prisoner thing, and you're like, oh yeah, even in all those, they were always just like, yeah, there's no like they didn't see any other sort of type of person enter the prison, and that like they just kind of like repeat that and get your mindset in that. And like I guess it happened to me because I'm listening to you talk and I'm just like, oh yeah, it could have been a fucking prisoner. Because that's the big thing they do a lot of times where they're like, oh, so you're saying there's just like a million people and what? They're sneaking through little holes in the prison? You're like, or the guy that's in there for life, they probably made him a nice deal and got him to fucking choke the guy out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the most likely situation. I do keep it open that Epstein may actually have killed himself and they let him do that. The reason I say that is because he did sign his last will and testament, I think August 8th, 2 days before he was found dead. So maybe he was saying, I'm screwed. I want to get out of here. It still would be a huge scandal if they let him kill himself. But yeah, to your point, yeah, I think people try to set it up like, oh, Hillary Clinton snuck into the prison. And it's like, no, dude, you know how these cases work. It was probably just another inmate.
Yeah, Hillary Clinton walked in, cracked open a baby, got superpowers,
Yeah, exactly.
and threw Epstein into the fourth dimension. You're like, yeah, I don't think that happened. No, you know what's funny? Actually, giving a shout out to the chat. I think it was Derek in the chat threw that out yesterday on stream where it was like, I that was the first time I heard that is maybe they let Epstein kill himself. And then I was like looking through some of the stuff, and there was like little things like they left extra what was it? They like left extra bedding in there, like
Yeah.
just little things that he could have actually killed himself with.
Yeah, and he was taken off suicide watch, so you're supposed to keep him in a cell where he doesn't have things where he could self-harm. And they were worried about that because this goes into another intriguing aspect where he was allowed to place an unmonitored phone call the day before he was found dead. Really bizarre. The whole manager of the prison, the warden was out of state, so the unit manager was left in charge. And after Epstein leaves his meeting with his lawyers, the unit manager tells one of the guards, like, oh, hey, I'm taking Epstein to make a call to his mother. His mother's been dead since 2004. The unit manager takes him to a shower and plugs in his phone to a legal line. So there's, I guess, two lines in prison, a personal line where all the calls are recorded. If I'm calling you from prison, they want to make sure we're not conspiring. But then they have a separate line for if you're talking to your attorneys, they're not allowed to listen to that. So the unit manager takes him to a shower and plugs him into the legal line so he's allowed to talk unmonitored. And they found out he was talking to somebody with a New York City area code, but that person told investigators that she was actually in Belarus. They had like this 25-minute conversation, and we don't know what was said. Less than 12 hours later, Epstein's found dead. The reason I bring this up, not only because it's intriguing in itself, but the unit manager talks about, well, I was worried about leaving him alone with the phone because he could harm himself with the cord. So obviously this was like an issue that was present on the prison facility's mind on that last day. They were apparently worried about him hanging himself with a cord, but then when he's finally placed in his cell, they're not worried about all this, fabric and these prison uniform or the orange jumpsuits that he could use to hang himself.
Yeah.
It's just contradictions after contradictions.
Well, and also that, you know what, that also makes me think about like, because a lot of times when the government will make statements, they won't. I mean, they'll obviously flat out lie about a lot of stuff, but then they get caught and they'll be like, well, actually, and then try to quantify it. But then there is also the time too where it's like I was saying this yesterday, where they're like, there is no Epstein client list. And I was like, I mean, it's not like he would keep invoices and just be like, all right, Bill, what'd you have? 7 kids? So I'm going to hit you with 10 grand. You know what I mean? So it's like he knew who the people were. So in the same fact, it's like, it almost could be like if they're saying like he committed suicide, that could also include we let him commit suicide,
Yes.
which is sort of killing him through the transitive property.
That's exactly right. And the client list, there really is no client list. That's kind of another red herring, like this issue of the missing minute. What Epstein had is a black book that's been public for over 10 years. It was leaked by Epstein's gardener to the journalist Nick Bryant. Yeah, go
Dude,
ahead.
sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. We've been making this joke. So you know I'm a comedian, and on my comedy
Oh, yeah.
podcast, we've interviewed like all types of people, and we've interviewed like porn stars back in the day, and we talked to this lady who was like, I've been in the biggest gangbang in the world. She had the client list. She had the flight logs on her phone. I go, dude, if she has it, you can get it. If the lady who's been in the biggest gangbang in the world has the flight logs, you can find it, dude.
Yeah. The thing with the black book, it was essentially a client list. According to the gardener, certain names are underlined, and those were like the people involved in Epstein's illicit operations. The names that weren't underlined were just people he knew.
Yeah.
Trump's name was underlined. So, I don't know, take that for what you will, but Trump's name was underlined. And last thing I'll say is the gardener was charged for leaking the black book. And so him and Maxwell are the only people that actually were criminally charged in this whole thing.
Wait, he got charged for leaking the black book?
Yeah, the gardener did. He leaked it to Nick Bryant, the journalist, and
Yeah.
Nick Bryant published it on Gawker, and it's been public for 10 years. But yeah, the gardener got charged for that.
What's the charge?
I think it might have been under seal or something. It was just like leaking some kind of evidence.
Oh, okay. That makes
Yeah.
more sense. Yeah, that's all very interesting. Oh shit, what was I gonna ask you? I was talking about the client list. I don't remember what I was gonna ask. What's your you report on this stuff every day, every week, every month, so you're more locked into the like political discourse and stuff, and you're more locked in on the personalities. I knew about Dan Bongino occasionally. I'd see his face pop up on Rumble, but I couldn't tell you a thing he thought. I was like, he's probably a conservative guy. I heard about Kash Patel when he got nominated and stuff like that. And then when they're doing those interviews, talking the way they are about being like, he definitely killed himself, all this other stuff. Are you like, how crazy is it? Like how they are now? Is it like a crazy 180 from how they used to be? Or is it not that as wacky as people are making it out to be?
I mean, it's not surprising to me. I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I never paid attention to Kash Patel or Dan Bongino like the last 5 years or so. I kind of knew who they were, but their content kind of struck me as like just boomer slop. So like I just didn't care. Like I didn't have anything against them. Kash Patel made his bones. He was in the DOJ, and then when all the Russiagate stuff happened, he was working for the Senate Homeland Security Committee or one of those committees, and he unlocked a lot of the information showing about how the FBI was doctoring FISA warrants and doing a lot of shady stuff in Russiagate. So to give Patel a little bit of credit, he did legitimate work he's not just like some blowhard radio guy. He does have some bona fides for as an investigator, although it seemed like pretty low hanging fruit to me. Like if you put me in and gave me a congressional subpoena power, I think I could do better than Patel. In any event, that's kind of how he became famous as the guy who uncovered the plot against Trump, and he rode that to the directorship. Bongino, for his part, he used to be a Secret Service agent. He worked on Obama's detail, and then he quit the Secret Service around 2012 or 2013, had a failed congressional run, and then became this big, bombastic radio guy. And I would suspect it more of Bongino. I think he's kind of a spook. He's always been disingenuous. Researching for my book about the Trump shooting, I read a history on the Secret Service, and there was a cocaine scandal in like 2012 where all Obama's security guards went down with him to Colombia, and they started partying with Colombian prostitutes,
Oh yeah, I heard about this.
including some that were linked to the cartels, which is a huge security concern. I would say that opens Secret Service agents to blackmail possibilities. But in any event, one of the peoples in the scandal was Joe Bongino, who's Dan Bongino's brother. And so Dan Bongino, at a couple, maybe around this point, he's like starting his radio show, becoming a big personality, bashing the Secret Service where he used to work, never discloses that his own brother was involved in this Colombian prostitution scandal. It only came to light because a reporter named Ryan Grimm for The Intercept found about it, called Bongino. He said, well, I didn't tell people because, nobody asked me. Like total disingenuous crap. Fast forward 10 years later, I'm researching the Trump shooting, and I learned that he worked with at least two of the agents who were part of the security failures. They all worked together in New York City, and then they all worked together on Obama's detail. And then two of these guys, one of them is the special agent in charge of the Pittsburgh office. The other one's the deputy in the Pittsburgh office. And, all last year while he's bashing the Secret Service, he never disclosed that he worked with these two guys. So I'm not suggesting there's any kind of conspiracy, but again, it just shows you what kind of guy he is, just totally disingenuous, not telling his listeners the full truth about his own background. So yeah, I could talk shit about these guys all day. I don't know if that answers your question sufficiently.
No, I think it does because I think it does because that's, it is a thing. Well, it's this weird thing where you're like I remember they talked about it a bunch where when Trump was running for president the first time, and they were like, oh, but Hillary has way more experience. And I go, yeah, being the devil. And you're like, and at the time it was a thing. It's like, dude, I'll take a risk on the fucking real estate business owner who is the most egotistical man in the world over the Antichrist. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? But then at the same time, like you said, it's super easy to like compromise a person and shit like that. And you start realizing, I don't know, I just sit back and I go, maybe we just stop doing this whole federal government thing, but that's another conversation.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, oh, it's gonna, you try not to get like nihilistic or whatever. You're like, but you're just like, oh, so it's gonna suck ass either way. All right, cool. But no, I never knew that about him. That Obama, it's so funny. I never hear about that. Then I talk to dudes like you, and I always get reminded of it. I was like, oh yeah, Obama had like a huge Secret Service hooker scandal back in the day.
Oh yeah, and the cartel link is the most intriguing to me. Like, it's not just boys being boys and partying. It's like some deep shit, and I think it might have compromised the agency, even more so.
Really?
Oh yeah, because again, cartels they're gonna blackmail you. They're gonna do all the stuff that we're talking about with Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, this is very, very closely related. If you're some Secret Service agent making, who knows, 95 grand a year, this is your whole identity. You're big. You think you're a tough guy, special forces, the counter assault team. and all of a sudden somebody shows you a video of you cheating on your wife, your own, man, your own. So that could have led to the security failures of last year. I think these agents being compromised.
Oh, that's crazy. Damn. I'm gonna have to look into that more. Yeah, you're talking about Epstein with you're talking about compromising him there. Epstein was doing the blackmail. Obviously the word on the street with a lot of people, Epstein is Mossad. I've heard a bunch of people I trust say that. But I have personally not, like I was saying before with the Epstein killing himself thing. The second you like scratch the surface, there's a bunch of things that pop up and you're like, oh, that's like makes it seem super obvious. What are the things with the if you're aware of them, what are the things with like the Epstein Mossad connection that when you like scratch that surface that make things become a little bit more like, yeah, I think this is definitely this.
Well, I've reported on a lawsuit. A Jane Doe 200 is the victim's name. The 200th victim filed something last year that explicitly accused Epstein of being a Mossad agent. The victim says this is the early 2000s. She gets raped by Epstein and she's thinking about reporting it. And Epstein tells her that I'm Mossad. I work with the Saudis too. The victims have made false claims, so we can't just take that word as gold. But to your point, there's a confluence of evidence that points to Epstein being intelligence. There's Alex Acosta, the U.S. attorney for Florida. When Epstein was arrested initially in 2009, he was given a sweetheart deal, and the U.S. attorney later said that he was told that Epstein belonged to intelligence and to back away. Specifically with Mossad, we know Epstein was business partners with the former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak. We know his island, his building is painted like the Israeli flag. We know Ghislaine Maxwell's, I got the book over here on my shelf. His dad was Robert Maxwell, whose nickname was Israel Super Spy. He was this big...
You're like, oh yeah, his father-in-law's nickname was "I work for Israel."
Yeah, exactly.
His middle name was Blackmail Senators. What else?
Exactly. And probably even more damning connection is relationship with Les Wexner, the founder of Victoria's Secret. Basically runs all of Columbus, Ohio. He was part of a group in the 80s called the Power Group. I think the Power Group or the Mega Group or something kind of like very ominous sounding, where it's this group of Jewish billionaires whose like the organization's explicit mission was to support Israel. And Columbus around this time, it's like a hub for Iran-Contra. There's all this spooky stuff going on that Epstein and Les Wexner were involved in. And then he makes Epstein his power of attorney. I think he basically sells him a mansion in New York City for like $30. All this crazy stuff with Les Wexner.
And also, Epstein just had no resume to justify any of this stuff happening for him, right?
Yeah, he doesn't even have a college degree. He's everybody says that he's this brilliant math whiz, but he got a job at Bear Stearns. During like the late 80s savings and loan crisis. They were charged with a bunch of financial crimes. He escapes that. So everything he touched turns to a disaster. I think the one thing he was really good at was tax avoidance, like helping people. That's why he was down in the U.S. Virgin Islands, working with these tax havens to help his clients, like I think Leon Black, the head of Apollo, like one of these hedge funds, was a client to Epstein. So he was good at that. To finish off with, was he Mossad, though? We'll get a little spicy here. I don't subscribe to this theory, but I've been reading articles on Substack by some people who think that Epstein was Mossad. And then in the Obama era, around 2010, after his arrest, he gets flipped by kind of like the American Anglo establishment to work for America against Israel. This is around the time Obama's working for the Iran deal. Like, to Obama's credit, he wasn't totally owned by the Israelis. And from what I've read, the theory is that the CIA director, William Barr, he was Biden's director, was actually Epstein's handler around this time. And so Epstein starts providing information against the Israelis. And that's why when Trump gets back into power, Bill Barr, super Zionist attorney general, the same guy that covered up Iran-Contra and Epstein scandals in the early 90s, is attorney general again. And that's when they arrest Epstein and kill him because he had flipped against the Mossad. That's the theory I've heard. I'm not subscribing to it, but it is interesting, and I think it should be explored further.
Yeah, and it sounds like a sick 90s action movie, so that's what I'm gonna believe now. No, that no, I mean, because you are right, because it was I'm not too deep into the weeds on all that stuff, but yeah, it wasn't Obama had I heard a lot of people saying like Obama's nuclear deal with Iran was good. People actually liked it, and he was like doing some good stuff. So I see where they're coming from. Obviously, this is the first time ever hearing of it, so I'm not going to be like definitive yay or nay, but yeah,
there's even the Bill Clinton connection. We know Clinton was working on the two-state solution in the 90s. So like these guys, I'm not saying like, oh, Epstein, he had a face turn and he started being a good guy. I'm saying these are like warring factions, like Game of Thrones style.
Yeah.
And he just switched factions. I mean, like, I think Bill Clinton was probably blackmailed by the Israelis in the 90s to tank the two-state solution. So yeah, these things are very complicated.
Yeah, I think it's way more of like, it's probably way more of just like, yo, who can cut me a better deal and stuff like that. I think obviously there's a handful of true believers, but I think a lot of people around it are just like, you know, what's going to keep me good or what's going to get me paid and shit like that. So I could see any crazy shit like that happening. That's, damn, that's fascinating. And that's why I bring you on, Ken, because I go, I've never heard that before.
yeah, I appreciate that. If people are interested in that theory, the guy who's written a lot about it, and I'm not endorsing this guy, his name's Charles Johnson. He's like a pretty famous or infamous right-wing troll kind of guy. A lot of connections. He knew Epstein. He was an FBI informant. So again, I'm not this guy's friend or anything. I don't vouch for him, but he knows a lot. He knows a lot. And he has a Substack. I think it's like Charles Johnson's Traveling Adventures. If people want to go read into that, go knock yourself out.
Who's the because that's the thing you hear a lot of times where, like, I don't know if you get into the UFO stuff, but I've gotten into it a little bit more the past year or two, ever since like the government started actually acknowledging it way more. And I go, that's interesting. Why are they doing that? And then you see I forget what the fucking dude's name was, but he was on Rogan like probably almost a year ago at this point. But it's whenever you see like in the conspiracy world or the alien world or any of that, and the dude comes on and he looks like a high school football coach, and you're like, you find out he's like ex-military, ex-Marines. You're like, I don't know about all that. And then, you know, you see all these different, it's just hard to tell who's, like, I always joke, like, I think like Sean Ryan, I think he's more of a useful idiot where he'll be like, wow, that's crazy. And that's why we need to be afraid of terrorism at every turn. And we need to go bomb more brown people. It's like, I think he really believes that. They just know he's going to pump out the proper message that they want. I'm just curious because, you know, I've talked to you before about I think you called it the Fed files, talking about the militia group and stuff like that. Who's your dude who you're like, oh, he's not just like a useful idiot. He's just like a flat out like fake person. He's lying. Are there any dudes that light up like that for you?
So I got to disagree with you and say, for me, it's Sean Ryan.
Yeah.
I think somebody like Benny Johnson is a useful idiot, and there's some conservative commentators, but remember, Sean Ryan is former CIA. Not only that, he worked on black ops in South America. He was involved in like cocaine trafficking. So
he did all that stuff?
Yeah. He was on a podcast with Megyn Kelly where he talks about He claims that, like, oh, he's stationed in the CIA in South America and he starts getting addicted to drugs and then trafficking them. But I mean, it's obvious he was definitely doing black ops. And yeah, that's not really a salacious allegation. It's pretty well documented. So you should go check that out. I don't think he's a useful idiot. I think he's a spook.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I'll have to look into that one more. Yeah, you know what it is? I get thrown off because he will have like, well, his podcast will be funny because he'll have certain interviews where it'll just be a guy's like, this is what's happening with child sex trafficking and all that stuff online. This is what I'm doing to help. And then he'll have my favorite interviews of his is when they have like former military guys talking about operations where they like murdered a fucking 1,000 people and they're just sitting there like, and I want to go back right fucking now.
Yeah, it's like an alumni club kind of, you know.
Yeah, they're fucking wild. A few more things. Are there anything going on with the I know you're talking about like there's some big distractions where people are obsessed about the skip at midnight and stuff like that. Is there anything that, with doing your research that is sort of like a big deal that like people aren't focusing on, or is there anything that's kind of like you wish there was more attention on or something like that?
I'll say I was the only guy for like weeks, or ever since Dan Bongino announced, "Oh, we've got footage of inside the prison." I'm the only guy sharing these diagrams that show which cameras were recording and which weren't. And I'm finally starting to see some other big accounts share these diagrams. So, welcome to the party, guys. Like, good. I'm not saying they're stealing my ideas. Like, this should be spreading. So I would say that, just like the obvious falsehood of Bongino's statement, it's been disproved in all these diagrams. What else? No, I think I gave you the spiciest thing I can. Is Epstein was Mossad but flipped to work for the CIA. That's about the best I've got for you.
Oh yeah, I gotta be honest. You were saying that, and I go, "Oh, the TikTok clip I'm gonna make is gonna be so good, Ken."
Nice,
Oh,
nice.
oh, the subtitles under your voice. There's gonna be emojis. It's gonna be beautiful, Ken. I think that's a good place to wrap it up. This was fucking great, Ken Silva. Thank you for coming on. Where can the people find you if they want to read your work and read your tweets and all that?
Yeah, I'm a headlineusa.com is the main thing. We've been republishing antiwar.com articles. We've got another strong, libertarian right winger guy, Jose Nino, is now my deputy editor. So making big moves over there to kind of be the leading paleo libertarian type of publication in the country. That's our aim. So go there on Twitter at JD_cashless. And yeah, that's it. That's about it. I'm really looking forward to talking to you. Is it next week about the Trump shooting? I
Yeah,
know a lot more about that.
perfect. Yeah, because I do better in the interviews when I like bone up on it. So I'm gonna give myself 2 weeks to catch up. But the 15th, Ken's gonna be back. We're gonna be talking about the Trump assassination attempt. And he's like writing a book on it. So Ken, like he said before, he's confident calling himself an expert in that.
Yes, sir.
So I'm pretty fucking excited about that because that's another one that Ken's pointing out a lot of shit that a lot of people don't notice. So that's gonna be a good stream in 2 weeks, guys. So be there for that. Chat's showing a lot of love. They're saying thanks for the stream. Hell yeah. All right, man. Fuck yeah. The guys appreciate it. Thanks. Thank you so much for coming on, Ken. Have a good day. All right, there we go. Boom. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. There we go. That was fun. What a good fucking stream. Yeah, all jokes aside, those clips are gonna go fucking nuts. That's what I love. Dude, because like I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm gonna be real about it. I'm never going on here trying to what am I trying to say? I'm never going on here trying to, like, not to sound corny, like spread disinformation, but brother, I'll humor any theory you have. Let's talk about it. Like that's like I don't think anyone's coming to like I want to bring people like Ken on. I want to bring people like Ken on to like teach me shit because I feel what am I trying to say? I learn shit a lot better when I'm talking one-on-one with someone. You guys know me. I get super ADD about stuff. It's hard for me to like focus at certain times. And even when I what am I trying to say? Excuse me. Fuck. Even when I do lock in on something, I mean it just takes a second for me to be like, what the fuck? And then go over to a new thing. So it's way easier for me to talk with someone like that and learn stuff like that. But also, I don't think anyone's coming to Andy Malfrina to be like, we need the scoop, we need the hard facts, da da da. So at the same time, I'm like, dude, let's let it rip. We'll definitely we'll definitely put like a disclaimer out front of it to be like Ken did, which is very responsible. You throw a disclaimer out front to be like, this is a unsubstantiated claim, but let me tell you why I'm making it. And I think that's a fun fucking time. You went ADD on him at one point. You threw him 4 different topics thrown into one question. Well, dude, I got to be honest. I go into these excited about the topic, and then sometimes I'm like way too in the moment. I'll tell you what it is. I'm way too in the moment, and you know what? I'll just completely tell you what the fuck's going on in my dumbass head. You got excites. Yeah, 1000%. No, it's actually not excites. It's sheer panic because Ken will start talking. I'll get locked in and I'll get way too in the fucking moment. And then he just stops. And then, well, not just stops talking. He's finished his sentence. So he finishes his sentence. And then I go, oh, you have to keep podcasting. So I just start like going and I just start going. And then sometimes I don't have a question ready right away because that's the other part. I am interested in these topics, but also sometimes I don't because this has happened to me. This happened to me the last time I interviewed Ken. I was asking him stuff about the FBI. Spread the disinformation like butter. What's up, Tapes? How you doing, brother? Go check out his fucking show. Ordinary People. Tapes is the man. We just had him on Drag the Lake. Is Ken back? Why did Ken come back? What the hell? Ken,
Yeah, sorry, my internet just crapped out. I'll jump off, but I wanted to make sure I didn't just like hang up on you or anything.
oh, no. No problem, man. Not at all. No, I didn't think you did. I just thought I was like, bye, and then whatever. But thank you very much, Ken.
Okay, cool. All right, we'll talk to you soon. See you later.
All right, man. You're the man, Ken. Have a good day.
Right, bye.
Bye. What a cool fucking dude. That made me laugh. Yo, that's so funny. That's so fucking funny. That's oh man, what a great fucking guy. Everyone go follow Ken probably saw the cabinet meeting response because my jaw hit the floor. Dude, I was laughing. I was like, why is Ken back in here? Is he about to fucking I was like, did I say something? I thought Ken was gonna be here. He's like, I heard you talking shit, Andy. And I was like, I wasn't. Don't be mad at me, Ken. Oh no, but this happened to me. Yeah, what a nice fucking guy. What a cool fucking dude. No, this happened to me when I interviewed him a while ago about the FBI. Is the thing about these topics is like they're hyper specific and it's hard to just have a casual conversation about them. You actually have to like know some shit about it. I went into the interview I realized very quickly I didn't know I didn't know that much shit. I didn't know as much shit as I thought I should have known for the interview. And also, Ken's a reporter. He's not a podcaster. So he's very concise and to the point because, he's a writer. He's a writer, he's a reporter, he's a journalist. He's not here to like pontificate and give you his like whimsical theories about life. He's a reporter, he's a journalist, he's right to the point. So he'll give very direct answers. Like Austin, like when I had Austin on, I'll ask him one question and he'll talk for 5 hours, which is fucking perfect for me. I love to just sit back and listen. But also I realize when I talk to people like Ken, who's like you're saying, Cellrat, he's a professional, he's a reporter, he's a hard work, he's how a journalist should be. I have to be a little bit more knowledgeable when I interview guys like Ken so I can be more locked in and be more knowledgeable about the topic and hit him with shit quicker and da-da-da. So that's what was happening to me earlier when I was having a slight spin out. I'm just like locked in listening to Ken because I was like, oh my God, this is so fucking interesting. This is so fucking cool. And then he stops talking because he finishes his sentence and I go, oh, fuck, you're podcasting. Ask him another question. Maybe when I interview Ken and guys like Ken, I make up a list and shit like that. Maybe that's something I need to do. I'm just so used to the way I podcast where you just kind of go like, so what are we fucking talking about, man? So I'm used to shit like that. But that was very fun. That was very cool. But yeah, that's what was happening. I was kind of spinning out, and that's why I said like 4 different things because I literally do. I know how I am. And I'm really just like, I'm going to start talking. And at some point, something's going to lock in and then we'll have something to talk about. And there were some moments. I get it. And you guys were 100% right. I asked them like 4 questions at once. But that's the nature of podcasting. What are you going to fucking do? What are you guys saying over here? Here, wait a minute. Let me pull this down so we can go through the actual. Because I did see a bunch of. Oh yeah, I like interviewing dudes like Ken because I'm not as knowledgeable about the shit. Because I see Slav saying here. Speaking of Sean Ryan, what is the guest everyday carry? Was you talking about guns? I don't know. I didn't understand what that was in the moment, so I just looked over it. But no. I like interviewing dudes like Ken about stuff like that because I'm like if I'm gonna call Sean Ryan like a fed or a spook or whatever, in the context of I hate I have too many black friends saying it in the context of CIA stuff. That word makes me uncomfortable. But you know what I mean? In the context of like, he's a fed doing fed shit. He's not a useful idiot. I'm not knowledgeable enough in stuff like that. I just looked down here. Ken sent me a question in the private chat. I didn't even see it. That's why he hopped back on. What a swell fella. But no, I'm not as deep into that type of shit. So I can't confidently say, oh yeah, Sean Ryan's still like a fed who he's not a useful idiot. He knows what he's doing. You know what I mean? I'm not confident enough to make those points. Ken's in the shit. Ken's very confident. So I trust Ken when he makes those points. That's why I like interviewing dudes like him because he can make the points definitively that I'm on the fence about. War Mode was detailing Sean Ryan hanging out in Colombia. I'll have to check that out. Sorry I didn't read the what's his carry questions. I as a non-gun having gun guy, so I'm super, you guys know me, I'm super pro gun and I want everyone to have every gun that they want. I just don't personally have a lot of guns. I want to get more guns. Actually, that's a big thing too. I talked about this yesterday, guys. Patreon.com/Big Red in the Morning. I have it set up. There's not a lot of extra shit yet, but you guys know me, I give you hours of free content every week. If you want to help out, Patreon.com/Big Red in the Morning. There's a $1 option. So you can help your boy out for $1 a month. Obviously, I want you guys to join the Panties and all the other podcasts. They're giving you way better Patreon content. But if you're a Big Red in the Morning true believer and you like the shit I do, I give you hours of content every week, every month. Patreon.com/Big Red in the Morning. If you're feeling nasty, I appreciate it. But anyway, I hate doing plugs, so let's go back to the comments. But yeah, I've been shooting more guns. I talked about this on Panties, but we did porch tour at this dude's house in Granbury, Texas. He had a bunch of sick guns. Dude, he had guns from World War II. Not like World War II style, from World War II. Like I shot 3 guns that are older than me. It was fucking sick. And hell yeah. I shot 3 guns that were older than me. So that was fucking nuts. And sorry, multiple thoughts are popping in my head and I'm trying to ignore them. Suck dick. Sorry. Gay thoughts are just coming back. But yeah, multiple guns that are older than me that, dude, like they didn't have safeties on them. It was crazy. They were like from World War II, no safeties on them. It was fucking sick. And yeah, I was just shooting more guns and I was like, yo, I fucking love shooting. Sorry. I like almost got a cold recently. Well, Robbie would say I got a cold because he says I got him. Robbie says I got him sick. I don't know. I mean, I probably did. What am I saying? Of course I did. But yeah, we were shooting a bunch of guns this weekend and it was so fucking fun. And I was just like, because I'm still new to guns. So every time I see a gun, and especially if I don't know how it works, I just get a little anxious because it's like I want to be professional. I want to be safe about this. That's the thing. I don't want to have a fucking bonehead moment where I accidentally, fucking point it the wrong way. I mean, I don't think I'll do that. I'm very aware of the whole don't every time I hold a gun, fingers off the trigger, shit's pointing down. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I still get a little nervous with them just because I want to be safe as hell with it. But yeah, every time I do it, I'm like, this is so fucking fun. So I want to get back into guns. So that's the other reason to join patreon.com/Big Red in the Morning. Give me your money so I can go buy guns. It makes the most sense I just think about it. I'm like, that makes the most sense. And again, sorry I didn't take chat questions. In the future, by the way, boys, if I'm talking to someone, just throw questions in the chat, because that's the other thing too. Like, I got a million things going on in my head because it's like I'm trying to interview someone, I'm trying to make it good, but I'm also trying to listen and enjoy the moment and stuff like that. So whenever I'm interviewing someone, just throw questions out. And every time I see one, if it's good, because it happened earlier with Derek, he threw one out about the missing moments from the tape. And I was like, that's a good one. So when the pod's happening, throw them out and I'll keep them all in mind and stuff. What's this about? Can we all agree the response Trump gave today during the cabinet meeting about Epstein may be the worst he has ever made in his political career? All right, we'll have to get that queued up. Trump, Epstein. Was it a response where like, oh yeah, he ate a kid's butt? Trump's deflection when asked about the Epstein tape missing a minute in the unsettling at best. Okay. Is it all? Trying to find the full one because a lot of times they post this clip and then it's a. All right, so I got that queued up. You went ADD on him at one point. Oh yeah, we read that already. You got excites. Spread the disinfo like butter. Absolutely. I'm a diehard Trump, but I'm so mad after that response today. I've never been this heated at him, not gonna lie. I mean, I get it, dude. I mean, that's why that makes you a better fucking voter than other people. There's other people that just they like, oh fuck. Oh, I feel so good. You guys horny? Is this making you horny? Yeah, there's other people that just go, what's the word today, daddy, to Trump, and then they're just like, no, a good. That's why, like, dude, fun. Like, do you guys see the shit where McCusker got his Twitter hacked, and it was the dude trying to sell. They're trying to do McCusker coin or whatever the fuck it was called. Which, yeah, right. Is it still up? Actually, let me pull up a different tab. Is it still up? Because I was laughing because um I think he called it McCuskey or McCusker coin. Looks like he got his profile back. I can't remember what it was, whether it was McCusker or McCuskey coin. But I was like, whoever did that, I was like, it's not even like a good. If not that Matt would, but if he did do a meme coin, he'd probably call it Shaman coin, you dumbass. That was the part that was making me laugh. I was like, he didn't even do it right. He would definitely call it Shaman coin. No, but I saw that. We talked about this on Panties yesterday too. I saw the McCusker coin thing, and I looked. Oh, and this was the funny part. I saw it and I go, that's weird. That doesn't seem like a thing Matt would ever do. And then I look down and there's not that many likes, not that many retweets, which, it's Matt. He's got 1 million likes and 1 million retweets on all his posts. And then I look and the replies are locked. And I go, he got hacked. Because when you start tweeting out meme coins and your replies are locked, that's when you're hacked. And I look in the replies and all the comments are like, Matt, this is fucking gay. This is so gay. This is lame. Da da da. And I go, that's a good fan base. And so kind of correlating to what you're saying about Trump, you're a good, I don't want to say fan, because I don't think you should be a fan of politicians like that and shit like that. But you're a good constituent or whatever you want to call it. Because like Matt's fans, they're not just sitting there going like, what's Matt doing today? He's so great. He's so fucking smart. They're going like, when Matt does dope shit, they go, you're fucking great. You're fucking smart, dude. You're the fucking man. Hilarious. Da da da. All those things. But when he does some fuck shit, you're like, what are we doing, dude? And that's a good fan base. That's what usually you want. Not usually, that is what you want. And that's you're being a good constituent for Trump. So, and I don't like Trump, but there's plenty of reasons for people to like Trump. So I would never fault you for liking Trump. Same way as I wouldn't. I mean, I would fault you and not fault you for voting or not voting for either. So I'm not gonna. My preferences, I would roll the dice on Trump every time over. I don't know. I didn't think they were going to go this hard on fucking Israel bullshit, though. I noticed that. I felt that for you. You pulled it off. Thank you, Derek. Black Box. Ninja. Yep. Oh, it's so funny. It puts up the actual. Did you get the chance to see Trump's response to the Epstein question on Pam saying, why are you still talking about Epstein, the rest of his rant? Oh, is that what he said? I do think that was a serious question, was it? Oh, I really appreciate this comment, Derek. I like the real shit. That's why I'm here instead of PBD and Tim Pool. Yeah, I mean, those shows irritate me because I actually used to listen to both of them pretty regularly. I kind of got in and got out in a timely manner, but I used to listen to PBD a lot, and I used to listen to Tim Pool a lot, and then it just hit a certain point. You know, I wish I could be like Dave and be diplomatic and say nice things because I can see what's better for like the fact that Dave's always super cheery and upbeat about those guys. And I'm not saying this off of like personal I'm not saying this about like personal knowledge. I've met Dave a handful of times. I've opened for him once or twice. I'm not saying this off of like personal knowledge on Dave. I'm just saying it as a spectator. Um because it's like I know I've listened to his podcast so much. I know what his sensibilities are, and I know there has to be like so much about um PBD and Tim Pool that drive him fucking nuts. But this is what's great about Dave. He sees the bigger picture and he goes, it's way more important. It's way more important for me to be cool with PBD and Tim Pool than it is for me to point out any of the little like corny shit about him. Now, and that's I get that. That makes sense. I would rather Dave, because it's like if Dave wasn't cool with PBD, we don't get the Chris Cuomo debate. And that's way more important than being like, yo, he looks like Sam the Eagle from the Muppets. You know what I mean? Is that his name? Sam the Eagle? Yeah. It's way for Dave Smith. Wait, let me get a good. Yo, I like Bing because it's it gives you better results than Google, but when you want to pull up stuff for your live stream to entertain the people, it doesn't do what I want it to do. All right, even fucking Google's not doing it. But like it's very important for Dave to not point out that PBD looks like Sam the Eagle. You know what I mean? That's super important. But I'm a big dumb retard, so it's probably better use of my resources to point out that Patrick Bet David looks like Sam the Eagle from the Muppets. Because we all have different roles in life. Dave Smith's role is to talk that liberty shit and to get people woken up and to create coalitions and to do the damn thing. My job in life is to point out which political pundits look like Sam the Eagle from the Muppets. And that's Patrick Bet David. Sam the Eagle from the Muppets. All right. Sorry about that. I thought it could have been a clip, so I did all that. I do think that was a serious question, was it? I'm not a gun guy, but I love hearing people spurg on their guns. I love it too. And the more I hear it, the more I want to get guns. What goes on the big red page? Honestly, I have no idea right now, but I will keep it open-ended to honestly, because like it's not going to be my main focus. I just want to keep it out there as to be like, hey, there's you can do 1 or you can do 10. You know what I mean? There's all the options. I'm gonna just leave it there. If you guys want to help out, I really appreciate it. And then honestly, I'll post stuff to be like, yo, what do you guys want? And we can figure it out over. It could be a group effort, honestly. But just so you know, my main focus is going to be like obviously like doing panties, doing Drag the Lake, doing No More Heroes, and then when I'm done with all that, I'm going to do a shit ton of Big Red in the morning. I'm just talking for hours every week. So if you guys like that, you can go over to patreon.com/Big Red in the morning and show me how much you fucking love me. I'm going now. Take my money. You can put a link down below the video here on Twitch, right? Yeah, there should be a link down below on Twitch. Or no, fuck. I think I changed. So the link probably doesn't work now. I just realized that the link probably doesn't work now because I changed the URL. Yeah. Yeah. If you just type in patreon.com/Big Red in the Morning, it will pop up. I will change the click through link down there in yeah, I will change the link down there when I get off stream. But yeah, it's I highly honestly part of me wants to change it to just $1 because I don't want the expectation. I don't want the yeah, it is all one word. I don't want the expectation to be like, oh, this is gonna be a big crazy Patreon. I just want it there in case you guys are feeling generous. And I want you guys to go worry about the panties Patreon. If you're gonna go join a Patreon, worry about the panties Patreon. But if you got an extra $1, can we watch the cabinet meeting? Yeah. Don't ever be hard for a politician. Oh shit! That? Was a hack. Rainy's reply made me laugh. What did Rainy say? Cellrat, throw me the link. Or wait, who said that? The cabinet meeting. Throw me a link to that if you can. What did Rainy say? I love Rainy. I love that Tim and Rainy are down here, by the way. They're both they're two not to like the cover photo, like Mike's cover photo, not to suck them off too hard, but I'm just being straight up. This is gonna sound like some crazy sucking off. Mike and Tim are two dudes I end up liking more the more I got talk to them and get to know them because I haven't gotten to know them very closely, but I have talked to them a bunch. And the more I get to know them, the more I really fuck with them. What did he say? Oh, yeah, these Diego videos are sick. All right. I lost my let's look for the cabinet meeting thing. Boom, 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 boom. Thanks for hanging out today. Oh, that's why fucking losers are talking about Kublai Khan online. Dude, I can't stand it. Thank you, Cellrat. Thank you. Fuck. Let me Oh, god damn it. I gotta open up Twitch to get that link. Oh no. I don't know. I'm sure you guys know Kublai Khan. Right here. They're on the Downbeat podcast. Shout out to this guy. This is why I like the dudes from Stray from the Path. Because they're like they have some like super lefty politics that I don't necessarily agree with, but they all seem like good dudes. And after like the bullshit where, if you guys aren't aware, Kublai Khan, you guys probably know, one of my favorite bands. Their lead singer might work. Sorry, at work. This is the whole thing though. No. It's I'm using the website I'm using to stream. When I click on your comment, it just will bring the comment up on screen. I can't actually click on it's not letting me click on the link. So I have to open up Twitch to get the link. It's nothing you did. It's just the website I'm using to stream off of. Because rather than using I'm using this website called Restream. So that's how I'm going from YouTube to Twitch to Rumble all at the same time. Yeah. But yeah, I just got to open up Twitch. It's no big deal. There we go. Got the link. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Oh, but yeah, no, the fucking lead singer from Kublai Khan, he just happens to be right wing. Or like, I don't know. Like I can't tell. He's you know what it is? And this is what irritates me when people say in like punk and hardcore, they're like, when people want to justify in punk and hardcore, when people want to justify the just horrible way that they treat like right wing or non left wing people, they go, the roots of punk rock and the roots of hardcore are inherently leftist. So you can't be punk or hardcore and be right wing. And it's like, yeah, those genres got started like decades ago. And a Democrat from the time those genres got started looks like looks like a fucking radical right winger nowadays. You get that? You know what I mean? Like the average Democrat when I was a kid was anti-abortion. You know what I mean? All that kind of stuff. They were a lot of Democrats when I was a kid, like were not like pro gay marriage, all these types of things. So because that's what irritates me with a lot of those like political, like when you're like Democrat, Republican politically, you're just kind of like vibing out on the current thing. So like, yeah, when did punk rock start, in the 70s or 80s? Brother, if you took a left winger from the 70s, and I get it, they're like broadly all on like broadly there's a lot of similar issues, but just from a person, I'm just saying, if we're getting mad because God forbid Matt Honeycutt likes the tweet of a dude who apparently has a bunch of coded Nazi stuff, I guess, I don't know. Don't get me wrong, there was some weird shit, but I don't know. An influencer online who's cosplaying as Matt Honeycutt and has like a fucking gay biker company. I'm not worried that he's going to start the white supremacist revolution. I don't know. And then you just take that and you're like, oh, what was the tweet that Matt liked, or what was the Instagram post that Matt liked? One post where literally in the post, the dude was literally like, I don't like to get political, which that was hilarious because every post is like, when liberals are being fucking gay pussies. No, but it was literally a post where it was like, I don't like Trump, but he's way better than the other side. So da da da. And then, just a fucking sensible thing most Americans thought during the last election. You fucking narrow-minded babies. Just because he likes that tweet, now he's, a white supremacist. And it's like, you're all children and you don't deserve these platforms. I think everyone should be allowed on everything. I'm just saying you've misused the medium. You're not mentally equipped to interact in public. That's all I'm trying to say. You're not smart enough to go outside. That's all I'm saying. And they get mad. No, and it's just like, I don't know, man. I don't know him on a personal level. I know, because this is how cool of a dude the Kubla Khan guys probably. This is how cool of dudes the Kubla Khan guys probably are. If I can fucking talk, they do because in a lot of these music scenes, the second you get a little bit of on you, even the tiniest bit, people just start to ignore you. Kubla Khan has always had a little, people try to treat them like they're not a good band. They try to act like it's just like Monster Energy, fucking Monster Energy, fucking bullshit like that, which it's not. It's fucking great music. I'm gonna sound like a fucking such a dork because I'm a big fan of theirs. It's great music, and they try to act like all this other stuff. But they've always been a little bit of band. They've always been a band with a hint of like, ooh, from a lot of the louder people on the internet. And I listen to a lot of these podcasts with all these bands and stuff like that. All the like cool guy bands, they're all giving Kubla Khan props. You know what I mean? Like what was that guy's name? Craig Reynolds, extreme lefty. I think a lot of his opinions are probably not great. He's bringing he probably has some extreme opinions about stuff that I would kind of like roll my eyes at. I still respect the guy because he's smart, talented, and he's a hardworking man. he's still like, yeah, Kublai Khan rules. I'm going to bring him on the podcast. So, like, if that's happening, wouldn't you? And then also on top of that, I've just heard the dudes in interviews a bunch. They just seem like normal guys. Dude, I went to their concert in Lancaster. I'm sorry, it was August Burns Red, Christmas Burns Red concert they do every year in Lancaster, Pennsylvania around Christmas time. Kublai Khan was on the show. Kublai Khan, if you guys don't know, like do their own merch. They do their own merch with, especially to a band at their level. I just heard them bring that up. They were talking about they had the lead singer of Cosmic Joke on Hard Lore, and he was talking about doing Warp Tour, and he's like, dude, I remember doing Warp because they were talking about how much how much he had to walk and how like how much work he had to fucking do on no sleep and the hot sun and all this other shit. And he's saying about how, like, you know, a lot of bands would have merch guys, and every day you'd see Kublai Khan tracking that shit a couple miles every day. And it's like, yeah, dude, they're hard working. They do their own shit. And I remember going to see the concert with Kublai Khan, Christmas Burns Red. Kublai Khan's one of the opening bands. Dude, literally, they were working their merch booth the whole time. And then the band before them, I believe it's the band that does Star Wars covers. I forget the name of it. Galactic Empire. They're very good. Galactic Empire is about to finish up, and then so they don't have a merch guy, so they just they lock it up. We're all standing in line. They lock it up for the set, and then they come back after the set. But like literally, Matt goes to everyone in line, and the line's long. That was the other thing. The line's fucking long. It was the longest merch line of the whole fucking show. And he goes to every single person in the line and goes, hey, we don't have a merch guy. We're going to go play our set. But please come back right after that. We'll be able to sell everyone a t-shirt, da, da, da. Does that to every single person. He just seems like a nice fucking dude. And I've listened to him on a bunch of podcasts. He just seems like a chill guy. So like, yeah, you don't have to have the same political beliefs as him, but like be mature the same way. It's like, I could look at that Craig Reynolds guy and I go, look at all these like stupid fucking opinions he has. But then I like listen to his pod and I go, oh, he seems like a really nice guy. He seems like a really cool guy. And a lot of cool people co-sign him. And so just like, I guess it's just like, take your fucking head out of your ass and just kind of like survey the landscape and realize, you know, calling Matt Honeycutt a Nazi or a white supremacist might be the dumbest thing you've ever done today. And I know that's not going to get anyone on my side being a little bit of a sassy bitch like this, but I see it all the time and it drives me fucking nuts because it's like, I don't know. People are going to call me a fucking gay pussy. But that's okay. But anyway, whatever. Let's keep it moving. Stop. Get off Matt Honeycutt's dick. Because it's my turn. No. Ew. I regret saying that. I was going to clip this up, and now I'm not. Okay. Let's pull this up. I think America is a lot more stupid than we think it is. Yeah, and I'm probably splitting hairs on this. I think America is... I think if people were more aware of how, not even like the government and propaganda, how like advertising manipulates them and stuff like that. If people were more aware of how they get manipulated day to day, I think we'd be in a way better situation. Because I think that's a big part of it. I don't think, because it's like, it's one thing to call someone stupid when they're wrong, but can you imagine just not being aware that you're being fucked with, how you would behave? But then the second you become aware of that, you're like, wait a minute, what the fuck? You know what I mean? It becomes a whole different situation. Is this live? Yes, it is, Ben. It is live. Let's pull out that. Thank you so much for hanging out, everybody. See a lot of people in the fucking chat. There are a lot of people watching. I am going to be trying to do more of these So yeah, if like I said before, damn, 9 people on the YouTube. I love you guys. That's fucking awesome. Um, oh no. Oh no. Alex Jones cried about Epstein. Well, we're gonna have to watch that. I'm gonna have to pull that up. Excuse me. Is this where he cries? Okay, we're gonna have to watch that. We will watch this Trump thing though that I've been saying. I love you, King Malafa N-word. Thank you. I love you too, Ben. Can't stand advertising anymore of such a blatant manipulation. Yeah, I remember when I realized that. I was like, dude, honestly, advertising. That's why I want to watch Mad Men. Get a little bit more of a, because I feel like that show's done really well. Get a little bit more of an insight on stuff like that. Was that a dumb guy thing I just said? I feel like that might have just been a really dumb thing I said, and I didn't realize I said something super dumb. But anyway, whatever. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? No, but the way advertising manipulates you, I'm more aware of it now. I used to be such a sucker to it. Because you don't realize it's happening. And I remember the first time I like fully noticed it. I was I remember I was just I was such into consumerism. I just needed the thing, whatever the thing was. I just needed the thing so bad. And wait a minute. This is the clip I want, right? Yeah. I needed the thing, whatever the thing was. I needed the thing so bad. It sounds gay. I needed the thing so bad. And I remember that's why I was buying Apple computers for the longest time. Well, that and I was using GarageBand a bunch. Actually, yeah. Actually, it was logical. I bought Apple computers all the time. But no, it's like I would get Starbucks all the time. And now, to be fair, I really like Starbucks but I remember for the longest time I was like, oh, Starbucks is the fancier, better coffee. You guys need to get Rainy on PITM. It's just a matter of scheduling. We got Tim on. We're gonna get the Rain train on. It's gonna be a good fucking time over there. Starbucks. Yeah, I would get the Starbucks, and I remember I got Starbucks one time around Christmas, and they gave you the red cup around Christmas, and you're like, how's everyone gonna know I give me the white one? How's everyone gonna know I'm better than them drinking Starbucks? Now I'm being funny right now, but I remember getting the red cup going like, no, I want the white cup. And then you're like, ooh, they got me. They got me on this, and it's like I used to be so locked into that. But like so much of that stuff, you don't even realize how much it it feels good to break out of it. Like I started trying. I buy like name brand store products whenever I can. Or, I'm sorry, the exact opposite. I buy store brand whenever I can because it hit me the one day, and I go, "Oh, this has to be from one of the companies." You're telling HEB as a production plant where they make all of this shit. HEB is the local grocery store. If you guys don't know, you're telling me HEB has a fucking plant or a warehouse where they make all of this food and send it out. It's like, no, they go to the companies and they go, hey, we'll do exclusive deals with you guys. We'll buy our shit directly from you if we can put our name on it. And then it's a good deal for them. And you're like, okay. And you're like, that has to be like whatever the fuck it is, the cereal. You're like, that has to be one of the cereals on the counter. It has to be. So I buy the store brand shit. And then people are just look at you like you're a fucking dickhead. Cumberland Farms is advertising the new Starbucks energy drink. Just big letters saying energy wild times. Still have trouble respecting them at all now. Yeah, my boomer parents got hit hard by the retard. That's so funny. I used to live with my grandma, and the way ads target old people is just disgusting. Dude, you ever sit and I've had to like babysit my nieces and nephews sometimes, and like not like babysit because they always live in different states, so it's never like that. But I remember one time my sister-in-law and her husband, they were staying with us because they had like they like what the fuck was it? Oh yeah, they were flying out because they're like big smart scientist people, and they go fly different places to do these like crazy projects. So sometimes they'll come, they'll crash with us, we'll hang out, we get to see them, and then like, but the one time they came over, they had to go do stuff, and my wife had to go with them, and they were like, can you watch I had to watch my niece. So it was the first time it was like me being a real adult alone with my niece, and we just watched fucking TV and shit like that. And we were watching TV, and I didn't realize I remember we were watching TV because I think the show she wanted to watch, we didn't have any of the streaming services. So we brought up like YouTube TV and watched it on there. And dude, the commercials these fucking kids get hit with in between these shows are fucking evil. Cause it's like the way that they make it seem so fun. And it's like that subtle energy of like, yo, if you don't do this, you're a fucking loser. The like underlying message of like, yo, if you don't do this, you're a dumb fucking pussy is crazy. Are you Jewish? No. Hi, Ragnar. I am not Jewish. Is that Stav's alt account? The store brand usually has less fake shit in it, fake colors and crap. Yeah, still, I would believe that. I don't know if that's true, but I would believe that, Derek. I mean, I'm not trying to doubt you. I'm sorry. That was rude. Still mostly garbage there feeding us, but yeah, dude, I heard some crazy shit because the dude's house we were at on Friday for porch tour. He's I don't know if he would consider himself a farmer, but he's got animals at his house. Yeah, is Andy Jew? Well, there are redheaded Jews. I don't look like if you look every time I've seen a redheaded Jew, I would not mistake me for one of them, but there are in his defense. It was still a crazy question. It's also really funny to just pop into a random live stream and go, "Are you Jewish?" But anyway, we don't. We've dealt with stuff like that, so we'll figure it out later. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, the guy's house we were at on Friday. He had a bunch of animals, and he was also crazy smart. It's really funny talking to Andy. You've been to Aldi's? It's mostly only store brand stuff. Yeah, I go to that's my move. I go to Aldi's. I get all the shit that because there's certain things like my wife likes like Chobani yogurt, or she likes she eats rice cakes all the time. She doesn't like the Aldi's rice cakes, so I get her the Quaker Oats ones from HEB. And there's a few things that me and my wife like at HEB rather than Aldi, but we get all the base shit from Aldi. And dude, I'm telling you, it was crazy. It like almost cut our bill in half the first time we did it. It was crazy, dude. Sometimes they have great deals. Like there was the one week I was. This is when I realized I was like a grown ass man. And I'm not a grown ass man. Patreon.com/big red in the morning. Give me some money so I can be a grown ass man. No, I just remember I got 5 pounds of ground beef from Aldi's for like $12. And I was like, what a great fucking day. What an amazing fucking day. So yeah, I like Aldi's. Aldi's has some good shit too. Cause they don't everyone thinks Aldi's is just like oh, I thought Aldi's for the longest time was like, oh, that's where they send all the dented cans and shit that's about to go bad, or like the misfigured Coke cans and shit like that, or whatever. And it's like, no, they set up special they have special distribution contracts and relationships where they get their shit sent to them a certain type of way, and it's the way that they I don't know what the term is, but like they get shipped directly from the distributors and shit. So they do all these little things, dude, even down to how they stock the shelves. So rather than like taking all the stuff out and putting it one at a time on the shelf, they get like everything comes in a box. They rip the front open and then they like put it on the shelf like that. It's like all these little things they do to cut costs. And it's all the same shit in different packaging. Some of it does suck ass. I'm trying to remember which one sucked the most at. I got something there that was like, nope, not doing this ever again. But either way, yeah, I've been talking for way too long about not this clip I pulled up. All these chips suck. Yeah, but sometimes they're good, dude. I had some salsa there that wasn't great. Cause sometimes salsa needs to be a little bit watery. Sometimes they'll try to disguise it by calling it robust or something like that. I'm trying to think of a bust joke. I don't have anything. They try to call it robust or whatever, and then it's just like, oh, this just tastes like this. It feels like it's bad spaghetti sauce. You got to have a little bit of watery is not the right word, but it's got to be more liquidy than it is. I don't like solid salsa. I like more liquidy salsa, but with chunks in it. You know what I mean? You get the like spice and the flavor in the liquids, and you get a couple of the chunks. So yeah, I'm hungry. Chicken and sketch sometimes. Yeah, that's probably fair. What up? Yeah, boy. What up, brother? Is that Frieza? Yeah, that's the other part of it. They have a skeleton crew that is able to do this shit. Oh shit. Um, oh shit. Sorry guys, 1 second. Shit. Fuck. Play the video and to get off your phone. No, I have to fucking here. Wait, let me throw this up real quick. I gotta go take care of something really quick. Sorry about that. I wasn't trying to ignore stuff.
Outside of the break.
And
And you've worked great with the governor. There's a lot of room over here. See an engine move out to the end if you way out to the left. To the left. Are you able to get them all in the room? Are they in?
yes, sir.
Are you okay? Thank you very much. We've had a tremendous 6 months, and we've had a tremendous 2 weeks, which now is, I guess, 3 weeks. And we have a tremendous group of people here that have done a great, unified, beautiful job. I want to, in particular, because of what she's gone through this last few days, done an incredible job. As you know, Christy, I'm going to ask you to say a few words about Texas. The first person there was the first person I saw on television was you, actually. And you've worked great with the governor, who's terrific. And you might want to tell a little bit about the trials and tribulations, but we appreciate the job that you and everybody have done. You had people there as fast as anybody's ever seen. So really appreciate it. We all do. And maybe you could say a few words.
Sure. Well, thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank you for your leadership. Texas is strong, and the people of Texas are incredibly strong. They've gone through something that is absolutely horrific, and it is heartbreaking to watch these families suffer the way that they are. As soon as this flash flooding event happened, the governor has activated his emergency responders. Nim Kidd is his emergency management director, who is incredible. and has immediately worked with the local first responders to get help to individuals and get them evacuated, put requests into me. We deployed, sir, right away, as you know, because you and I were talking a lot during this time, the Coast Guard. We also had some assets out of Customs and Border Protection. Our BORTAC teams went in and helped with rescues and clearing debris so that we could get roads open and people get the help that they need. I think when I got there the most, sir, that day, as soon as I arrived on site, was getting a briefing from all the emergency responders, was just how unified they were in focusing on the fact that we're there to save lives. They were there to rescue people, find people who were still alive, and to reunify them with their family members. We as a federal government don't manage these disasters. The state does. We come in and support them, and that's exactly what we did here in this situation. FEMA went to an enhanced level immediately, but as soon as you signed the major disaster declaration, we were able to get them resources and dollars right away, just like you envisioned through state block grants, to help them with cleanup. And we're still there in presence. The FEMA's been deployed, and we're cutting through the paperwork of the old FEMA, streamlining it much like your vision of how FEMA should operate, and it's been a much better response to help these families get through this terrible situation. We still are looking for people. We're still looking for a lot of little girls and other family members that were camping along that river, and they will continue until they find every single person, and we will continue to help them and assist in that. I was surprised when I got there at the camp that day, right after this happened, the parents that were there, the parents that were looking for their children and picking up their daughter's stuffed animals out of the mud and finding their daughter's shoe that might be laying in the cabin, and just hugging and comforting people matters a lot. I'm extremely grateful for God's hand in that whole situation, because hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people were saved. And this is a time for all of us in this country to remember that we were created to serve each other. God created us to take care of each other. And that when we do that, we are happier, we are more fulfilled, and we can walk alongside people on their worst day and help them get through it and come out the other side, knowing that we can continue to live a life that God has purpose for us. So they're grateful for you. Several times the day after the flooding, you and Melania were on the phone with me, and I want to thank you for that. That meant the world. I was able to tell many of those folks that I had been visiting with you, and that you had said, whatever they need, Christy, let's deploy it and get it down there and be helpful. And on Sunday, when the families were waiting at a church to identify their children's bodies, Franklin Graham and I called in and prayed with the families and read some scripture with them, and he was incredible in making himself available to that as well. We'll be back down there in a couple of days and continue to do all we can, but this is an unprecedented event. It really is. There's been tragedies like this around the country, but everyone is unique in different situations, and the response the federal government had supporting the state through this, I'm proud of the people that stepped up and immediately came. The Coast Guard, when they came in, they had a difficult time even getting the aircraft in and landed. They had to try several times in the weather to get it in and deploy, and I think we've heard about our one Coast Guard member that was responsible for saving over 165 people, but that entire crew did incredible work. And all the first responders there did incredible work. And I know people are getting tired now, but they're getting reinforcements, and volunteers are showing up. And I just want to commend the governor and his team for being the leaders. And they're so thankful that you're letting them make the decisions and manage the response like it should be, and then us supporting them with the resources of the federal government. We've already deployed dollars to the state, much like the block grants that you've talked about. Right. So they're grateful for that, sir.
There's never been a wave like this outside of the breaking of a dam. Because this was almost a wave that ended up being 30 feet high, more actually. Now with the dam you can understand it, but this approached almost with that speed. when you see a dam break, it's not a pretty sight. It wipes out everything, and this is the kind of thing that built up so fast. And it's happened 2 or 3 times before over the years, but not to this extent. But tell them when you met the father who was picking up the daughter's clothing. And
I had walked through the cabin where all the little girls died, and I had kind of fallen apart in there, but I walked out of the cabin, and a gentleman was standing there, and he said, that man over there needs a hug. And so I walked over to him, and I hugged him, and I said, do you work here? And he said, no, my little girl was in that cabin. And he said, and I just found her best friend about an hour and a half ago. She had passed away. And he just fell apart. And so then we just hugged and talked for probably an hour about that. But then there was the grandpa was there looking for his granddaughter as well. There was a dad there of one of the counselors. The counselor was alive, but she was dealing with the fact that she had hung on to some of these girls and was trying to keep them out of the floodwaters, and had gotten hit by something and had lost 2 of the girls, and wasn't able to hang on to them, and was going to live the rest of her life thinking about that moment when she wasn't able to hang on to these girls. But these parents were picking up their kids' belongings out of the mud and throughout the camp and putting them in bags. And then one of the dads said, I knew 50 of these girls here. So I knew that was her dress, and my daughter's friend's dress. So he was picking it up and putting it in a bag to return to her parents. And so it was and then the director was there comforting everybody who had lost his father the night before too, and he was still there trying to facilitate all of these parents grieving their children and find them. So the strength of people is incredible. One of the things that I asked there that day was that they all have escorts or counselors when parents come in. So from that point, that when they came into the camp, that they have somebody with them when they're going and looking for their children's belongings or looking for their children. And so very emotional, but also just so tragic.
The relationship with Texas and the governor has been obviously very good for years with me, but the relationship with Texas and their first responders and us with our first responders and lots of other people, and we brought in a lot of helicopters from all over, and we had a lot of helicopters. It was actually dangerous, a lot of helicopters up there, but they were real pros, and they were responsible for pulling out a lot of people, and we got them there fast, and Texas had some good ones too, but the response has been incredible, and the fact that we got along so well, I don't know, I don't even think that's a political thing, but we got along so well, and it was so unified. I think a lot of lives have been saved. That could have been as bad as it was, and you could have lost double or triple. This thing was just really horrible. Well, congratulations on a great job, and I appreciate it. I know you're going down. I'll be going down on Friday with First Lady, who would be taking a trip, and we don't want to get in anyone's way because that's what happens. The president goes and everyone's around focused on. I don't want anyone to focus on us, but it's possible they could have somebody saved still. There's a lot of areas. It's a big area, and probably unlikely at this point, but there could be. They're thinking there could be the possibility, but what a tragic situation. A good job, and we'll see you on Friday, and we'll finish out the day here. I think you've been reading a lot about. It's a terrible topic when you talk about financial after this, but we have a big country, and we've been doing very well. The tariffs, as you know, are starting to come in at record levels. Tremendous amounts of money are coming in to our country. We never did that before. We're not used to it. We only have tariffs going out. We only adhere to the rules of other nations.
All right. Sorry about that. My wife was sending me. I was looking at my phone and I saw some texts from my wife about our cat, and they were very confusing to me. So I was worried our cat exploded. Also, someone's sending me a text, and I think someone's trying to scam me because I just got a vague text that says, well, here's the problem with being a drunk idiot. I got a text that says, "Hey, do you have time tomorrow?" And I was like, "I don't. Who is this? I didn't save your number. I'm so sorry." And they said, "Well, I don't want to say their name in case this is a real person." And they go, "Didn't you save my number?" And I was like, "No, I'm sorry. Where did we meet? I'm so sorry. I have the worst memory." And I'm just like, "What?" Also, message me on Instagram. So I'm trying to like because this is what's annoying about being a fucking dumb idiot is like I'm trying to remember. I was like, do I just have a bad memory or is this person trying to scam me? Because these texts do feel vague, like someone's trying to scam me. But I've been actually getting scammed a lot more recently, so I'm much more aware of it. But I do meet okay, yeah, this doesn't feel right. It doesn't matter. That's actually crazy. Nah, I'm sorry. Where did we meet? I'm so sorry. I have the worst memory. That's what I said. And then they go, it doesn't matter. We met at an event last month and then exchanged numbers. And I'm like, well, that's a weird response. Oh yeah, no, I've been getting scam calls for fucking ever. It's like I don't even I forget to fucking block them, but like this stuff's creative. That's hilarious, by the way. It doesn't matter. We met at an event last month and then exchanged numbers. I mean, you know what's hilarious? There's actually like yo, he hit me with the rock. It hit me with the rock. It doesn't matter what my name is. Um, no, if I exchanged numbers, it was probably well, and also, you know what's funny too? They hit me with a distinct name, Reina, Reina. And that's also probably a girl, right? That's a girl's name. Yeah, I would not have knowing me. Just say, "Do you want my card number?" Well, no, that's the thing in comedy and shit and all this stuff. 9 times out of 10 we exchange Instagrams. And also, I know me, send a picture of a penis. I know me. See, this is why cuz I idiot proof my life. The second someone tells me like I'm on a show, I am typing it in my phone. When I meet someone, I still have certain friends saved as like a distinct thing about them, or I have some friends saved in just got back. Andy dealing with an Indian. Yeah, some Indians trying to see my bobs. No, it's funny. I have some friends saved in my phone as with the name of the place we met because I do these things because I know I'm bad at remembering names. I'm really bad at remembering names. I'm really bad at remembering names. So when I meet people and I save their number in my phone, I type next to like sometimes I'll type like where I met them and stuff like that. So the fact that a girl is texting me and claiming we met at an event last month and it doesn't matter what the event was makes me believe, because that's the other thing. I don't save random girls' numbers in my phone that doesn't have a business interest or is a friend in comedy. How can he snack? Tell him selfie. All right. I've been yapping for too long. We talked to Ken a bunch about the Epstein stuff. Apparently, you guys were telling me Trump had a really horrendous response to the whole Epstein situation. So let's check at the phone. Wait, hold the phone. Oh wait, never mind. There's an orientation thing down here, so I could actually pre-record these things in cell phone. Or ooh, that's a good thing to know. I could pre-record stuff in cell phone orientation. Might need to use that information later. But anyway, like I was saying, we talked to Ken Silva earlier. He gave us the lowdown on all the Epstein stuff. That shit came out on today when we're recording this is Tuesday. The Epstein shit dropped Sunday night. There's been a little bit of time for people to process it, and apparently they had a cabinet meeting today. They talked to Trump about it, and what the chat is telling me is Trump's response was pretty fucking horrendous. So let's get into it. I saw a lot of people posting a 1-minute clip. I always try to get the best, broadest context I can. So I have found a 2.5-minute clip because I'm a professional journalist.
Sure.
Your memo and release yesterday on Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency. The former labor secretary who was...
Okay, so he's basically asked him, did he work for CIA? Did he work for Mossad? Which, if we remember on the conversation with Ken, he had that, and Ken even said, he's like, I'm not saying this guy's right. It's just a really interesting theory that there's a little bit of legs to. There's a little bit something there. Not a lot, but there's something there. Basically saying, like, did Epstein do a double cross? Is he the third man? Is it actually Hogan or whatever? Whoever the fuck, I can't remember. I gotta watch WCW again. But you know what I mean? Did he fucking is he John Cena kicking Cody Rhodes in the nuts? Like, what is going on? And is he actually working for the CIA, and that's why they fucking took him out or whatever the shit? So, or is he Mossad? This is a very good, interesting question.
Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta.
I will say this, not that I don't know my confidence level in one of these is I can imagine this is very stressful and a big situation, but for this young man right here, it would do you better. Say it with your chest, brother, because Trump's going to be a fucking nasty fucker back. So just say it with your chest. But I'm also probably a dumb idiot who doesn't know that this guy's like probably been doing journalism his whole life. And, you know, he's like, yeah, I ask people these questions every day.
Allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of his death?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, could I just interrupt? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years.
Oh, no. No. Oh, no. I'm going to let it play, but I'll try not to analyze it too much off of just that, but that's not good. That's an angle I saw online. I wasn't prepared for it to get to the president. Not get to the president, but I wasn't prepared for it to be something. Dude, out of the, yeah, exactly, Cellrat, dude. Out of the gate, bad. Out of the gate. That's a horrible start. Oh my God. You're like, yeah, he's pretty big news right now. Are you guys still talking about? Yeah. I gotta be honest, in a political conversation, it's like, brother, we can't, we still can't agree on if fucking dropping if dropping a fucking nuke and murdering over 100,000 Japanese people in a very short amount of time was a good or a bad thing. We're still debating that. So the idea that there's any major political topic, I told you I wasn't going to go off on this, but I mean, it's just so bad. The idea, I got good Trump hands, by the way. I'll put these down here. The idea, that's such a good comment. Let it go, losers. No, I'll say this. Like, it's so funny too. Like, you think about like all these topics that are still up in the air about it that are old. Like, dropping the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the JFK assassination. Oh, what's another? Oh God. What's another old topic that, we just need to, oh yeah, Israel, Palestine. The idea that there's any major political topic that someone would go, are you still talking about this? That's bad, dude. That's bad.
You're asking.
Let's back it up again. Let's just back it up to the. That's bad.
Also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of his death?
Yeah, sure.
Pam, could I just interrupt? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time? And do you feel like
That's insane. It's like, oh yeah, you know the guy. You know the guy who like Ken said on the podcast, you were in his black book underline. You know the guy you have taken pictures with and partied with. You know the guy you said really nice things about, who then ended up coming out as the guy running an international pedophile ring that had very direct ties to Mossad in Israel. And you know how that country Israel, like, they came out with that thing that Israel was really behind, the 7 countries in 5 years thing, just toppling all these Middle Eastern countries. You know how that's like, that whole thing's just so advantageous to American interests, and no American really supports it that passionately anymore. But you know, we keep just doing all that. And it's just like, why are we doing this? It's going against American interest. You know how like that guy's tied to like all that stuff and that great what and all that because all of our fucking government's blackmailed. Are you still talking about that? It's psychotic, dude. Yeah, this one too. Oh, that guy that had a satanic temple with the colors of Israel on it on his private island where he had sex with children. You give a fuck about that, dude? Move on. Yeah, you can post the link, brother. This is why I like the chat. Oh, he has a painting of Clinton in a blue dress. And he has the painting of George Bush flying planes into the towers. It's insane. It's insane.
like answer?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February.
Yeah, that was bad. That was really bad.
I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said, I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video.
By the way, can all these high government officials with very sensitive info and very, these like very big, important stories and information and all this other shit, can you guys speak more fucking clearly on stuff? Oh my God. Like, it happened all the time with Biden, but like we always just accepted that he was having like dementia moments. And we were just like, yeah, no, he doesn't know what he's saying. He's not actually running the government. We are. So we'll just let you know what he meant to say. You know what I mean? It's like, it almost made sense there, but it's like, all right, no one in office has dementia. Allegedly. I don't know what's YouTube, whatever. No one in office now has dementia. Can you, people who are supposed to be the smartest fucking people Trump's ever fucking assigned to any fucking thing, can you fucking speak more clearly? This lady has the most interesting job, apparently. Yeah. Danny P went on a rant last night about this. Oh yeah, send that over. I'd love to see that. Danny rules.
They turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released.
It's insane. No one wants to. Well, I joked about this yesterday. Some people want to watch that. But all of us who are talking about this, we don't want to watch the CP. clearly we want this info because it's like we know it implicates people in power right now. Like, and they keep being like, yeah, we're not going to release you guys as child porn you want. We don't want it. We want the info that implicates the high-powered people. We would like to find out who in our government is actually a pedophile, because it's starting to feel like it's a lot of you. And I got to be honest.
Never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
And Dan, oh wait, not Dan. Ken talked about that on stream earlier today. I do actually think that is a reasonable, because that's what Ken said, and I agree with Ken. I think that is actually a reasonable explanation of why the video skipped. Is, you know, I mean, we watched the video. The videos are horrendous. We watched the video yesterday on stream. The video quality is horrendous. They probably have old, outdated bullshit, because why would you update that shit? Why would you update that shit at a high security prison? Why would you update that shit? Saying that sarcastically. So I could see that. Like, yeah, we would have a skip at 10. And it's like, what are the odds? What are the odds that Epstein got killed perfectly in between 11:59 and midnight? So that's like pretty reasonable. But yeah, the other shit, if anyone, like, I've said this a bunch about a lot of the conspiracy stuff. If you ever hear people go like, why are you even into that? Dude, I gotta be honest. I don't, dude, if you want to go, I don't fault anyone for not being into conspiracies. If you want to go, you want to watch basketball and you want to recite from memory every college that they went to and all that stuff. And I'm not saying this in a cunty strike. I'm truly, I get how it's coming off because of how I talk. I'm truly not saying that. If you want to do that, it's like, if you want to go get crazy obsessed with manga and read all that horny bullshit, which I have a bunch of it on my phone. I read manga too. I'm not shitting on that either. I'm not shitting on any of this. It's your life. Live your life. Do what you want to do. But I got to be honest, these people who are like, why would you be into conspiracies? I got to be honest, it's weird when I find out people aren't. You know what I mean? Like, you find out the base level of Jeffrey Epstein. Just find, like, even if like you start off from the basis of like it was just Epstein and Ghislaine, whatever. It was just them chilling alone, doing their damn thing. And then you hear that and you go, like, you know, you hear about Epstein, you're like, oh, everyone's got these crazy conspiracies about it. And then you take the mainstream story, the government story of like, you know, it was just Epstein and Ghislaine. They were just fucking throwing kids back and forth, and they had sex with over like 1,000 of them, and they're like, but it was just them, and you're like, well, that doesn't pass the sniff test. And then if you just don't, I don't know, I don't know what it is. Like, if you hear about these things and you don't get more curious past that, I don't get that. That's weird to me. Like, so if someone's going to be like, are you still on that Jeffrey Epstein guy? I go, how are you not? How are you not? You're the fucking weirdo. So it's like, don't let people bully you about that shit. It's like, dude, I mean this straight up. You're fucking weird, actually, if you're not a little bit curious about the Epstein stuff. If you've never checked past the base level of Epstein, that's odd to me. But yeah, this clip is horrendously bad for Trump. Makes him look Because like I heard a lot of people saying, and I agreed with this, because Trump is historically a teetotaler. And a lot of people had the theory that it's like, yeah, Trump was around all this shit, but because he doesn't drink and stuff, they probably haven't gotten him in these moments. And they haven't been able to compromise him like that. And I've heard people say like, oh, they were probably able to compromise his children rather than him. The more he's acting with this Epstein stuff, because here's the thing, the dude may not drink, but I don't think he discriminates. I don't think you could, like, I'm starting to believe, I humored it before, but I was like, I just feel like the dude gets away with everything. You know what I mean? They tried to get him on taxes or whatever the fuck. They tried to find something with Russia. The dude's clean. He's the Teflon Don. But the way he is, you're like, I was just surprised. I was like, it's if something's gonna get him in trouble, it's his fucking dick. And I gotta be honest, like with the years of partying, even if he is a teetotaler, you really think, especially too with like, especially too with some of the stuff you've heard him talk about women. And I'm not even saying like I have joked before with like the grab him by the pussy thing. It's not a good thing, but it is on some locker room talk shit. And also, I don't know if you've ever been around women, around powerful men. It's not a good thing, but he's not wrong. Like they do. Anyway, not that you should, not that it's a good thing, but he's not wrong. But regardless, the dude seems like he, what am I trying to say? Sorry, I just said the thing and now I'm like, are people gonna fucking clip whatever? No, what the fuck was I saying? Yeah, no, the way Trump is with women, the roundabout point I was trying to get to, the way Trump is with women, it's like, dude, when he's in the midst of like doing some shit, you really think 16's gonna mean anything to him? And then if the 14 or 15-year-old's looking good to him, I'm just saying, I don't have any proof, but based off the way he's acting in these clips, you're like, I don't know, dude. It's really starting to feel like you cracked open a teenager. But I don't know. All I know is that clip looked really fucking bad. That clip looked bad. What is the timestamp of Danny's video, by the way? Because I got it here. I just don't know where to start because it's a 2-hour video. Oh, right up top. Okay. I didn't know he chaptered it up like that.
Because we know that. Every person watching this show right now knows that. I think you watch the show because you know that. Some people... Welcome back, everybody, to an all-new episode of Lag Value Mail. I don't know what it is. It's something new every week. One day we'll figure it out. I have not been able to figure it out because it's not a consistent thing where I can say this is what it is. They say change your stream settings. I change them. Doesn't work. I change them to something else. Works. Seems like it always works the second time for some reason. First time, never works. Second time, works no problem. No idea what it is, but welcome everybody to an all-new episode of Low Value Mail on this Monday, July 7th, 2025. This is episode number 152. And joining me in the second hour, we have Trevor Lohman, a PhD neuroscientist and the author of God's Eye View. And he'll be joining us to chat, I believe, about the neuroscientist's case for there being a God. Because, those neuroscientists, mostly atheists. Welcome back. It's good to see you all. All right. Let's get into it. I don't know if you guys are going to like this.
He sounds pretty, you know what it is? For me, I think it's different when you have a bigger audience. He's got almost 10K. Fucking 3,000. Ah, that's so cool. Fucking streamed yesterday and 3,000 people watched it. That's pretty sick. Guess is really good. Yeah, I might actually, dude, honestly, I was joking. I was posting Derek, I don't know if you guys all know him, but Derek's probably familiar with Jose Galasan from No Way Jose. He does the podcast Already Dead with Austin. Sorry, crushing seltzers. 1 second. Okay, sorry. I'm trying to figure out the shit with our cat. I think she's got a toothache or something. She's been weird about food. Oh yeah, no, I was joking with Austin. I was like, for the longest time, I'm like to this day, I'm like the king of poaching guests from Jose. Well, because it's like I like these interesting guests, but it's hard when you're at this level to get interesting guests who are actually like good and credible. I could get all the fucking I could get all the psychos I wanted. Is that where no, I want the camera over here. Yeah, I could get every psychopath under the sun. It's just, is it going to be a worthwhile conversation, and are they going to like be fucking insane? And there we go. I need a haircut. So I might want to start watching Danny's show to poach guests. Steal guests from Jose. There's a lot of guests I want, but I don't have a big enough profile.
This, but the Epstein case is officially closed. That's it. It's over. It's totally over. It's Jover. And I stand before you all right now, a very, very black-pilled man today. Now, this may not sit well with some of you, but I'm starting to think that conspiracy theories might be fucking stupid. Tell me how this shit is any different than me.
I mean, he's got a point. I don't know why, but stating in that way is so funny to me. Yeah, Danny, what's a black pill? Black pill is basically what's the best way to describe it? It's sort of like a play off of red pill, blue pill from the Matrix. Blue pills like sitting in the red pill's the truth, blue pill's the covering your eyes to the truth. And then basically white pill's being hopeful, black pill is just being pessimistic, I guess. I don't know if that's the best way to put it, but dude, this is so funny. Cause he's just like, you know what it is? A lot of times when dudes talk about shit like this, they get like dramatic and fantastical, and they sound like a dude who's trying to like they sound like a dude who's trying to, you know, like they saw Mel Gibson's speech in Braveheart, or either Mel Gibson Braveheart or The Patriot, and they're just like, they're trying to do that, and they're trying to like rally the troops, and they're trying to like do a lot of the dudes who talk about this stuff are very like theatrical about it. And then you get nihilist might be a good way to put it. That's probably one. I've heard better definitions. I don't know things. But like, yeah, there's a lot of dudes who get into this and they try to be like Mel Gibson doing a speech in Braveheart, and they're very theatrical about it, and they're like, you know, they're just there for like the power and glory, and you know, they end up just being, it's a lot of the people who get called grifters and stuff. But then, and it's why I like dudes like Danny. I feel like Danny's similar to me, where you're like I used to be like, yo, let's do something about this. And I still am, But I've realized that is, and I feel like this is where Danny's going to go, where that becomes very emotionally and mentally draining. And it's like, I still need time to just be a normal person and live my life. So I've figured, it's not perfect yet, but I've figured out a balance where I can shut it off. You know what I'm saying? So I haven't been getting attacked on an emotional level by this stuff that way. Like, it hasn't been hitting me that hard. But I think a lot of times too with dudes like us, because like I said, I think me and Danny are in a similar pocket with how we approach these things. It does get fucking exhausting because you're like, dude, is it really just bullshit like this? Because like Danny, I've met him before. He's a cool dude. He's a normal dude. He's not in it because he's a comedian. He's a comedian that writes funny sketches. He doesn't have to do this stuff might not even like help his career. He just does this stuff. I think it's why he's like probably taking it such a hard way, because it's like he does this shit because he's into it. And he's like, oh shit, this is fucked up. Maybe I throw something out there. Maybe we make shit a little bit better. And then you just see, I've been noticing it for me. The deeper you get into this stuff, the more you just see it's like there's so many people like pushing this thing in a negative direction. So it's like the people who I see getting blackpilled, I pray for them to not go down that route. But God, can I not blame them? You know what I mean? But also, this is probably going to be hilarious because Danny's a funny comic.
Into magic cards or sports. What is the point of any of it? Really, what is the point? I'm asking you that. And, the phone lines will be open 20-ish minutes.
You know what? I identify with this so much because I was recording. I'm using TikTok a little more. Not to brag. But no, when I got like a quick little thing, you know what it is? It's just, I just always need to yap into a thing. And TikTok's like, you can yap directly into your phone. I go, I can? And you're like, yeah, you can. So I was like recording a thing talking about the Epstein stuff because I had a thought pop in my head. And I go, TikTok needs this. And I was like recording it. And I hit this one line and I was like, and I was kind of I was just kind of like, just kind of talking off the top of my head. And I said this one thing and I go, oh shit. And I go, because everyone always goes with a lot of this stuff. Like the thing that was funny to me with the Epstein shit is they're like, yeah, they dropped it in the middle of the night Sunday so people wouldn't notice. And you're like, I mean, it's like, do you understand the current state of the world? Or not the state of the world, like the just the way we function right now. People, it's about Epstein. People are gonna fucking notice. It doesn't matter if you drop it in the middle of the night Sunday. It's still gonna be huge fucking news. And then it's like, but people always say stuff like that. They're like, yeah, they're doing this to distract us from that. And you're like, when has that ever mattered? You know what I mean? When it comes to this shit, I'm about to get blackpilled. Holy shit. I'm about to get myself blackpilled. But that was the thing. And this is why it like makes sense when you should try your darndest to just have false hope, just to keep yourself going. Try not to lie to yourself too much, but you need something to keep yourself going. That's at least how I view it. I might be wrong. Who knows? But like, oh yeah, it was like, oh, they're doing this, they're doing this over here. So you're distracted from that over there. And it's like I was saying before, when has that ever fucking mattered? And this is the line I said on TikTok. I was like, when has it mattered what we think? I get, and I've said this before, like it matters sometimes. Like you need to get people sort of broadly on board with shit because they don't want to just be so blatant about it. But it's just like with the presidency, every single fucking president, dude, if you go watch fucking George W., Obama, Trump, even Biden, the running for president, oh my God, they say amazing things. The vast majority of them like didn't come through on any campaign promises. And you're like, that's just what you get. So it's like this whole fucking thing. You're like, I'm tired of them. I'll be like, guys, can you just be the evil monster? You know, and that's what makes me always like, that's what always makes me drift over more to like the fucking Satanist bullshit. Cause apparently all that, the Moloch or whatever the fuck they call it, all that shit is basically like, oh, they got to trick you into doing the bad shit, which I guess they feel like they're doing. I don't know. But that's like why I even humor any of that shit. Cause I go, what's the point of even fucking lying to us all the time? You're just going to do it constantly. So it's like, when does it start to matter what we even fucking think? Why are you even pretending it matters what we think at this point? So I get it, man.
You tell me what I'm missing here. Tell me how this shit is any different than being into magic cards or sports. What is
you know what the difference is? It's you don't get any sense you rarely get a sense of satisfaction, because in magic cards you get cool cards and sometimes you win a game, and in sports sometimes Jalen Hurts is your quarterback and that dreamboat Saquon Barkley's running that ball and you win the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? But in politics is like, I remember that show Ozarks. In every episode of Ozarks, whenever they would figure out a problem 10 times bigger would come around the corner.
Point of any of it? Really, what is the point? I'm asking you that. And, the phone lines will be open 20-ish minutes. You tell me what I'm missing here. Because from a first principles approach, you should always have a healthy distrust of the government. Safe to say you probably all agree with me on that, right? These people aren't your pals, regardless of what your bumper stickers or your fucking hats say. These are not your friends, okay? You elected them. They are your employees. You pay for them. They work for you, right? So what is the purpose of proving conspiracy theories to be true?
And this is the important part. For me, I'll speak for myself, and it's why we all got into them, because they're fun. Once they stop being fun, that's when you got to reassess it all. You know what I mean? We all know why we got in. Fucking JFK. That's a hoot and a half. Fucking 9/11. Oh my God. Oh, I remember. Oh, the first day I saw Zeitgeist. Oh, one of the most fun days I've had in college. You know what I mean? We got into it because it's fun. And if you don't agree with that, you're a goddamn liar.
Just that you arrive back at that point? Is that all it is, that the government lies to us? Because we know that. Every person watching this show right now knows that. I think you watch the show because you know that. Some people might think, yeah, there goes people in government. They're just good, honest, hardworking people. Sure, they front run stock trades with insider information, but for the most part, these are good, salt of the earth people with a net worth of $250 million for some reason, even though they make $200,000 a year and have been in public service their entire lives. I'm looking at you, Nancy Pelosi. But again, we all know that the government is lying. We know that. We all know it. But then we all just chase our tails thinking if we get to the bottom of this one, this time it will be different.
You know what I think about that? And I don't have the solution. I think someone like Dave Smith or, people who are way more, maybe even like a Steve Bannon, who I've been wanting to listen to his stuff more, because apparently, I don't even know if I agree with Steve Bannon on a lot, but apparently he's super locked into like the political circus, and I'm very bad at understanding that. So I might check out his shit for that reason. But, yeah, I don't have the answer to this question, but there needs to be this like mass movement, mass mental understanding of like, how to take the next step, because people are really, really good at identifying the problem and how the government is consistently the problem, and how they just keep doing the same bad thing over and over and over again. And it's really like, and then you just see the average person, the average politically active person. They don't always flat out say it, but the general vibe a lot of times truly is, whether they're upfront about it or not, the general vibe truly is, we just got to get the right people in there. We just got to get the right people in there. And it's like, once there needs to be sort of like, whether it's fast or slow, and it's why everyone needs to read. It's by Murray Rothbard, right? Anatomy of the State. I always forget. That's Rothbard, right? Yeah. Anatomy of the State. You guys all need to go get a copy. I actually think if you want the audio book, yeah, right here. If you want the audio book is on Spotify for free. You got to find it as a podcast. Because on Spotify they have like the audiobook section. Even the audiobook though, it's like fucking $2. Give the Mises Institute a couple bucks. But no, dude, you could go on YouTube right now. I think you could go on YouTube right now. Anatomy of the State. Yeah, right there. Yeah, it's an hour audiobook. It's if you want to get the physical copy, it's a short book. But what I'm trying to get at is like, people need to understand the nature of government. In my opinion, and now this is not an easy solution, but in my opinion, why the cycle keeps going over and over and over again is because people aren't aware of the nature of government. People look at the government, they're like, yeah, we just gotta like fucking from this angle, and if you just kind of tweak that and tweak that, it'll just function perfectly. And you're like, that's not in its nature. And then you mix that with, now I get it. Some people will look at like, you'll see one video of China making a bridge over the weekend, and you're just like, I mean, China's got it. Like, they make bridges really quick. Maybe we should just fucking do everything like China. And it's like, well, no, there's a lot of variables. And also, I think if you like, there's some rules, like if you fucking think about a titty, someone in the Chinese government comes out and like kicks you in the dick or something. I think that's the law. I can't remember, but no. So if you realize that like the nature of the government is it's not there to work in your best interest, and you mix that with sort of like the brainwashed American culture, and then you mix that with the fact that our government's like the biggest government ever, and then you mix that with all the neocons and war hawks and the people who want to give $1 bajillion to Israel every other second, and all if you mix all those things, just by the sheer fact that like government in its nature is much more of a leech than anything else. It can like benefit things, but at the end of the day, it's always going to be more of a leech on productive society than it is. So it's like it needs to get through people's heads that this system's not going to work for them. So like, we need to go like, we tried that, no hard feelings. And what about freedom and voluntary exchange and property rights and, the Second Amendment and stuff like that? What if we try that one? That's the thing. People, the problem is, and it's why I realize like, I don't watch the show a lot. I mean, I don't watch the show at all. I don't know why I say a lot. I don't really watch it, but I'll see clips occasionally, and I'll see his posts on Twitter and stuff. But like Alex Jones calling his show InfoWars, I think is one of the best, titles for a show, because I think that's a big part of it. Because it's like, if you don't get yourself out of the mental paradigm that you're in right now, we're never going to have a system that works. because we're all going like, yeah, if we just do this the right way, that's not a thing. The way the government functions, there's no like right way for it to like not do what it's doing now. You know what I'm saying? So it's a tall order, but there has to be some sort of mental shift with a lot of people where you look at the nature of government, you go, hey, thanks for trying. We're going to try something else.
This time it'll be different. Well, it isn't. Bad fucking news, okay? The government trudges on. The people in government do what they do. Most people don't even care about this shit. They'll have their own version. They have their own version of things they care about, right? Sports. Some people just care about sports, except this isn't your favorite sports team. Where you decide, you know what? I'm not watching, or I'm not buying tickets or merch until this team gets their act together. No, see, this team will lock you in a fucking cell if you decide to stop supporting them. Ask Wesley Snipes, countless other people. This isn't the same thing, right? So I ask you as a newly black-pilled man. I wore my favorite black shirt today because the pill I took was fucking obsidian, okay? What is the point? I asked Grok today for a list of conspiracy theories that were proven true. Here's what I got, okay? I'm sure there's many more. This is what I got. MK Ultra, Tuskegee experiments, COINTELPRO, NSA mass surveillance, and Gulf of Tonkin.
I will say this. I think a lot of times too, when I catch myself doing it all the time, I'll be talking about some like, because I'm big into, you guys know I'm big into MK Ultra, I'm big into these conspiracies. I'll catch myself talking about them to certain people, and people go like, "What? What is that?" We take for granted how, I think in these spaces we take for granted how little people know about these things. That's why I always say it's like at the end of the day, people always joke about it. Being informed is actually way more helpful. Everyone's like, no, we actually have to like do shit. And you're like, well, I think that's all, dude. It all comes down to it all. For me, it all comes down to these like false paradigms where it's like people go like, oh, we have to like do shit. But like, what does that mean? Because you'll like watch a documentary and you'll see some awful shit going on in another country that you can't do a thing about. It's not on you to feel bad about that, but also like take that in and just go like, see what's bad about that, understand why that's bad, and don't let that happen around you. But it's like, it's almost as simple as like, excuse me, dude, like imagine, take it like a simpler example like this. You know, not like when you have knowledge about something, it can't, like, obviously, if you have pressure from an outside force threatening your life, it can convince you to lie, but there will be nothing in you that'll like, go contrary to that in your heart of hearts. You know what I'm saying? And it's why I think a lot of these people are just underinformed. They just don't know about the shit. And they don't know, like when they hear people like me talk about the government, they think like, oh, he's just being a bit of a fucking loony. And it's like, no. I'm at like, that's what you guys don't realize. I'm actually pretty level-headed about this shit. That's what's scary, is I'm being level-headed about this stuff. And you guys all, like, if everyone got to a similar place as me and realized like, oh, like what I'm saying is actually like pretty standard and level, not standard, but actually pretty level-headed stuff, we'd all approach this thing differently. But like the example I was going to use, is like, dude, imagine there was a deli down the street. You went there to get breakfast every morning. And then the one morning you walk up and the guy making sandwiches, you just like saw him scratching his ass and you went, ah, shit. And you're like, maybe it's just that guy. And then you skip the sandwich, you bought the next, and then after like a couple days, you start going like, oh, every motherfucker in this deli fucking doesn't wash his hands, scratches his ass, all this shit. All white guys, obviously. That was just a joke. I just felt like being racist. But you know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, you're like, oh, that's how they act here. And you're just never going to go there again. And then even if people are like, no, it's actually the best deli in town, you're like, no, I know. And it's like, once you have like a foundational knowledge like that, like obviously if someone breaks into your house and goes, we're going to get a sandwich from this deli, you're going to get the sandwich because you probably don't want to die. And you'll be like, all right, I'll eat poop hands for one day so I don't fucking die. You know what I mean? But like, once you have that like foundational level of knowledge, you can't do anything about that. They can't like, unless you get, that's the thing though. The only way to fix that, the only way to change that, I mean, is to get better info. And that's just, I didn't mean to make this point, but that's just why fucking free markets are better. Because it has to compete. If you don't like something, you have to hit that with better info or a better product. So like, it just encourages more shit that people need and want.
All right. I then asked if anyone went to jail over any of these. You know how many people went to jail? 0. Big, fat, fucking 0.
You know what's funny? And I don't know this for sure at all. I'm just guessing. I bet you a handful of people went to jail, but it was probably like a minuscule number. If people went to jail, there's a good chance Danny has better info than me. But even if people went to jail, it was probably like a very small number and very insignificant people. If that's even, I don't know. I don't know why I interjected with that. That wasn't useful.
They ruined Edward Snowden's life over it for the whistleblowing. Guy lives in fucking Russia right now. Still has yet to receive a pardon from Donald Trump. Otherwise, 0. Okay? There was some public criticism. Grok let me know, hey, there was some public criticism. Oh no, don't criticize me publicly. I'm merely a modest government official. They had some investigations. Oh yeah, they had some investigations. Now, normally when the police investigate something, they do so with the purpose of charging and then convicting someone of a crime, right? That's how this shit normally works. For you and I, anyhow, that's how this works. Say we find out the moon landing was fake. I'm sure many of you believe that. I operate, like I said, on a probabilities basis. I don't think it's 100% one way or another, okay? Say we find out the moon landing was fake. Conclusive evidence. Then what? They just, what happened?
Well, this also goes back to kind of like my point earlier about talking about the nature of government. That's why, in my opinion, it would just be a better place if we just made the government smaller, because this sort of highlights what am I trying to say? This sort of highlights where the problem with government isn't necessarily the bad shit that they do. Because there's a lot of people in private life that do horrendous shit. But the thing is, those people who do horrendous shit, they don't rule you, and they're not able to steal your money, and they're not able to inflate the system, inflate their sort of power to be this like, it's about the amount of like power that they had over you. If they still, it's like when people talk about like, it's like when people talk about like Israel and Israel fighting Hamas, and they're like, well, Hamas says like the first chance if Hamas had the power Israel did, they say it, they'd wipe out every Jew in the world. And you're like, yeah, but like, how realistic is that? It's not. So it's like, it's why we more often talk about the fact that you guys indiscriminately bomb women and children and shit and civilians and all that, because that's the more realistic, awful thing that's going to happen. Hamas, like, obviously you should be mindful of that stuff happening, but maybe we'd be more concerned about Israel because they're doing a lot more bad things in real time. I don't know if we need to necessarily talk about all the hypothetical bad things that aren't happening right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's the nature. Because here's the thing, the government's going to government. But if it was very, very tiny or non-existent at all, the bad shit that it's going to do anyway is not going to happen.
Happens. Can you tell me what happens? Now you can say you super duper don't trust the government. You go, I didn't trust the government before. Now I really don't trust the government. I mean, you already don't. If you're watching this, you probably already don't. And look, whoever is in power right now, this came out, they go, moon landing, fake, never happened. They'll just say, the people that did that, they're dead. They're dead now. I didn't do that. That was fucking 60-something years ago. They're dead. They might even say sorry. I mean, like, sorry. It's unlikely. They might say it. I think this about a lot of the Jew stuff, actually, to be perfectly candid. I have a good feeling. We'll catch up with Jared and Slav in 50 years from now. Maybe.
Did you just give? Oh, that's so funny. He just give a shout out to Slav. Slav, is that how aggressive you are in Danny's chat? He's just fucking throwing you shout outs in there, dude. That's so fucking funny. Damn, I'm gonna have to do a podcast with Danny and we just talk about how much Slav abuses us.
Maybe not Slav.
Or Slav, I guess. Is it Slav or I say Slav? Yeah, that I was not expecting a Slav shout out. Slav, whatever.
To be perfectly candid, I have a good feeling. We'll catch up with Jared and Slav in 50 years from now. Maybe not Slav, he'll be dead. But the NBA, the NFL, MLB, the NHL, be 90% Jewish ownership. There'll be more Jews in the United States than there have ever been. They won't run Hollywood anymore because that will be gone. But guess what? Whatever the new thing is, they'll have a nice piece of that. Alongside Indians and Asians. They'll be overrepresented in everything alongside Indians and Asians. And they'll just you guys will be wasting your lives just combing through the Talmud, thinking if I just find this one smoking gun in here, we'll finally win this thing. As you're literally the only white people left in your town and spent your entire lives pursuing this. But who am I to judge? Hey, I'm not here judging. Everyone wastes their time on one thing.
I think there's a lot in here, especially right there. Because it's like I don't want any of this to be like, here's why Danny's wrong. No, I was saying it before. This is completely, I choose to be hopeful so I don't get depressed and KO myself. But I completely acknowledge that part of it's probably delusional. You know what I mean? I just think it's like better for me to have that sort of hope in you because, I feel like just better stuff's going to produce. But these feelings are, I've been here 1,000 times. None of this is me being like, this is I'm going to break down why Danny's wrong. But no, right there, that is also a great insight too, where a big thing with the conspiracy stuff is it can turn into an easy way to avoid the real world. And I think that's what it is, because you're fighting the good fight and you're reading about all this crazy shit and you're like, the world's so fucked up. I got to do this. I got to fight the good fight. And it becomes a justification to ignore real world shit. And it is a thing where that's why that line where it's like, you're going to find that right passage in the Talmud to prove that Jews are actually as evil as you say they are. And then when you finally read that, you look up and you're like, why is my neighborhood all Mexican? You know what I mean? So it's like, which not shitting on Mexicans. Love them to death. They make all my favorite food and build all my favorite houses. So funny. But no, like, you know, where it is this thing where it's like you can just completely disconnect from the real world because you're over here being like, I'm gonna figure out who shot JFK. That's why I used to think I was like being a dickhead, but like I almost try to approach it in a way as like I'm a fan of a fucking, you know, it does feel good if you sort of talk about some shit and get some insight and maybe feel like, oh, did I help move the needle forward a little bit on this thought or whatever the fuck? That's nice. But at the end of the day, it's like almost healthier to treat the conspiracy stuff like, I don't know, like even almost the same as like, oh, it's almost healthier to treat it like you're a podcast breaking down fucking wrestling every week. You know what I'm saying? Just so you can like emotionally disconnect and still be a real person and, you know, still be a part of your community and exist in real life and, you know, do something there. There's a lot of interesting thoughts being thrown out here that, you know, I don't know. Danny's fucking cooking. He's on one right now. It's great.
Another, okay? Keep going, boys. Don't stop. Don't stop. And I'm just a black-pilled man. So take this with a grain of salt. I am a black-pilled man. And that is all. Now, to the reason for my revelation, I'm sure you all know. Obviously, I mentioned it at the top of the show.
All right, there we go. I think that's a good place to pause. Yeah, man. Interesting shit. Like I said, I get being black pilled. But I don't know. I know for me, I always try to approach things a little glass half full because you know what it is for me? It's like those moments when you're like, all right, I'm done recording, I'm done editing, and then you like sit down on the couch and then everything gets quiet. That's why I choose to be positive because when it gets quiet, that's where I get scared. That's where scary things happen. But yeah, man, I don't know. I get being black pilled. I think though, you know, any problem, it's like identifying the problem. Well, that's why I always say like that. That's why I always say like go check out the Mises Institute, read some Murray Rothbard, read some Ron Paul, read some of those guys. They'll give you actually like real world solutions and like understanding economics and other things like that will give you a better perspective on a lot of these things. And yeah, it'll especially too, like I was saying, like please check out, if you guys haven't, please check out Anatomy of the State and it'll give you a better perspective on this stuff. You know, if you are the type to look for solutions, that's the people who are the most stressed out. I think that's why Danny too is like, what the fuck? Because there's people who do this to be like, there's people who do this just to be into it every day, to like read the shit and then just go like, what the hell? And then like, that's the extent of their breakdown. But then there's people like me, and I sense Danny's like this, and I know a lot of other people are like this, where it's like, no, like, why are we still doing this? What do we do to fix it? And those people would benefit from checking out some Murray Rothbard and some, you know, go to the Mises Institute, shit like that. You know what I mean? Just look up Austrian economics and Ron Paul, stuff like that. I know that's not a great answer, but if you do it, you will find out it's actually a great answer. Yeah, Anatomy of the State is one of the books I actually read. Yeah, it's literally like 30 pages. How many pages is it? I think here it's on. I'm looking it up on Amazon. Yeah, it's $3 on Amazon. Unless you want a hardcover. Yeah, it's 63 pages. That's the other thing. No one has an excuse for not reading Anatomy of the State. It's 63 pages. That's $3. If anyone wants one, I have a version behind me. And it's free on it's free on, like I said, if you go on any of the podcast apps, I think it's the audio version of it's free up there. It's very good. It'll have all the secrets. What are you guys talking about? I hope it's at my library. Yeah, if it's not, like I said, literally. Actually, you know what? If you go to, I think most of the books. If you go to here, let's look it up. I also wanted to read the one comment you just posted. This one, you said capitalism is a failed social experiment, like democracy. Here's my, if I could say this, here's my take on stuff like that. Capitalism is a failed social experiment like democracy. Here's my take on that. A lot of the, and I had a similar mindset. I had a similar mindset for a while, and then I started learning about all the other isms or ocracies. And I started to realize, and it's like it's really the problem with a lot of things in life. Whether you see it all the time with people talking about diets, like every person has their diet that's the most important fucking diet, and then other people do it and they're like, that wasn't right for me, and then they do another diet and they're like, oh, that's right. And it's like politics are a similar way. Everyone always tries to be like, capitalism is the perfect system. No, socialism is the perfect system. No, fucking democracy. And you're like, honestly, like a dash of each is actually nice. Because capitalism is great if you want to, create more stuff for people to like, and not just stuff like a fucking cell phone or a fucking TV or whatever. No, if you want to have a system that you can like literally create more food for your people and make everything a lot more efficient, it's good. But then if you have capitalism and you have a government that's too big, and then the government's bought out by businesses and corporations, and then they use the capitalism, they turn it into crony capitalism, and they use that to create fake actual advantages for the unfair advantages is what I meant. Stuff like that. You're gonna have a bad time. You're gonna have a bunch of extra bullshit. So there's aspects of capitalism that are nice, but the problem is it's like with socialism. Everyone I've ever met who believes in socialism, it starts at a nice place. They all think it's sharing. They all just want to share. They see people in a bad situation. They're like, that fucking sucks. Why can't we help that guy out? It's like everyone who's into socialism, it always starts at a nice place. But then you apply it to, but the problem is it's like they don't really finish the book about it, and they don't go to the end where it's like, oh, because like everyone who's into socialism, they never really learn economics because they don't realize like one of the problems with socialism is you're not able to, you don't, what am I trying to say? You're not able to let the market give you indicators of what you need and don't need. So you have to like central plan everything, and no one's smart enough to centrally plan a whole economy. That's what's nice about capitalism. Is it like if you have like laissez-faire free market capitalism, the market and what people are buying and what they're not buying, it gives you it gives you these indicators, of what society needs. You go to socialism, you start centrally planning, it takes those away. Now, socialism, I believe, starts in a nice place where you're like, everyone needs to have stuff and everything needs to be good and better for people. That's good. You need that energy. But when it comes to the actual application or when it goes to the actual process of achieving those goals, it can't do that for you. So it's like, but then if you start looking at that and you're like, damn, if we had people who understood capitalism, but also had like the granola-y hippie-ish, not hippie, hippies fucking suck and they're a strain on society, but they had that like granola-y, warm, loving vibe that starts with most socialists, and you had this sort of balance. If you could figure out a balance, the problem is it's like it's either this or it's that or it's that or it's that. But it's like it's why like I think libertarianism is really great. But if you don't have if you don't have a good moral foundation, whether it's through like, just living a good life or a religion or something like that, like Christianity or something like that, the libertarianism is useless if you don't have a strong moral foundation. And it's the same thing. It's like the capitalism is going to eat us all if you don't have a point to go where it's like, all right, that's evil. You know what I mean? If you just let if you just let the capitalism run wild and never check it again, you know what I mean? If you just put the pizza in the oven and you never check it, you're gonna go, how'd it get burnt? You're like, you know what I mean? You gotta check it. You gotta check it. You know what I mean? And you gotta have, you know, some pussy socialists walk in and go, that's not nice. And you gotta listen to them. Not when they start talking about the process, don't listen to that. But if the socialists start crying, you got to go, well, why are they crying? All right. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. We should stop that. You know what I mean? But then honestly, I think the perfect model is you have like the evil capitalists on the right and the well-meaning, but also still, if brought to its logical conclusion, socialists. Also, I don't want to just call the capitalists evil because they're the ones who keep the lights on. You know what I mean? The capitalists keep the lights on. The socialists, they make sure that the fucking apartment looks nice. And you need both. You need mom and you need dad. You know what I mean? You see those pictures online where it's like a TV on the floor and a folding chair and like a pizza box on the floor. And they're like optimal male setup. And you're like, no. I know it's a funny little joke. That actually sucks ass. You need mom to come in and go like, you need to act like a civilized person. So I'm going to put a chair in here. And then we're going to put soap in the bathroom. And you're like, shit. And then so that's a good start. But sometimes mom and dad don't always agree and they get into fights and stuff. So that's where we need the libertarians to come in to be sort of like the money manager, where dad's like, we should do this. And mom goes, we should do this. And the libertarian's like, well, this is what you can afford. And I think that, to me, would be the perfect political system. But this idea that it's like this, or this, or this, it's like, how about, honestly, they all got a little bit of nice stuff about them. But you should always, at the end of it, whatever you want to do, at the end of it, you should always turn to the libertarian and you go, can we afford that? And and then listen to them. That's the part. You got to listen to them. No one wants to ask if we can afford that or not. That's the problem. No list because everyone in government is probably on it. Yeah, that's true. All right, guys. I have to go get some shit for my cat before my wife takes her to the vet. So I'm gonna wrap it up here. This is a very, very fun stream today. I will be back tomorrow. My brother Chris Warren's gonna. Someone was asking to bring Chris Warren on. So you know what I fucking did? I said, Chris Warren, get your fucking ass over here. I gotta interview your piece of shit neocon ass. Yeah, I'm gonna try to do these guys a bunch. So do not hesitate. If there's someone you want me to interview and they're attainable, let me know. If there's a topic you want me to talk about, like what are you saying about Diddy? Diddy can walk. There's no point in going to court for anything. Yeah, if you want me to interview someone about Diddy, and who he came inside of or oiled up, I'll do that. Let me know. I'm gonna be doing these a lot more. And also, guys, like I said, streamed today, streamed yesterday. I give you an hour, 2 hours of panties. Well, 1 hour for free. I give you an hour of panties. I give you like 2 to 3 hours of Drag the Lake, No More Heroes. I give you more hours than I can count of fucking Big Red in the Morning content. I tweet way too much. I give you a lot of content. If you like that, please consider going over to patreon.com/Big Red in the Morning. I have every type of tier. So if you only want to give me $1, you can give me $1. I'm gonna have it's not gonna be like a hustle and bustle in Patreon, but if you appreciate the 700 hours of content I give you every other day, I'm just trying to guilt you into giving me money. I love you guys so much. I will be back tomorrow. Come hang out. Come tell me you love me. I'll tell you I love you. We can send each other dick pics. It's going to be a good fucking time. I'll see you tomorrow. Be about it. Peace. Oh, wait. Can you interview Radix again and ask her if she will go out with me? Nah, you gotta hop in her DMs and get arrested. I ain't gonna do that for you, Derek. You should interview criminal lawyers. That would rip. Yeah, people's champ. I like that. Thank you, boys. Love you guys. Have a great day. Call your mother. Be about it, please. Yeah, please. Police, please. Same place, same toilet. You fucking know it, Cell Rat.